Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Talking All Things. In today's edition, we're talking all things Stephen Moffat as we're building up to the anticipation of Boom, which is at midnight. So we thought we'd help you pass the time by tier listing all the Stephen Moffat television episodes. As ever, I am joined with Luke.
Yes, we're back once again. It's been a little while since we've done a stream, isn't it?
Yeah, it has.
It's just nice to get back into every once in a while. These
Yeah.
are more of a event for us and hopefully for all of you out there as well.
Well, Doctor Who's an event now, isn't it? On a Friday,
Yeah, it
staying
is.
up till midnight.
Yeah. So
We can talk
I'm sure
about that, how we're finding that.
I'm sure there's a few people out there who have been looking for something to do to pass the time. So we're here for that. Not to entertain you, just to kill time.
Until Boom.
Yeah, we know what you're really waiting for, because we're waiting for it too. Or at least I am. You might not be staying up till midnight tonight.
No, not tonight. I don't think.
Duty calls.
Duty calls, but I'll eat it with my breakfast. Well, watch it with my breakfast, actually.
Yeah. You'll consume it.
I'll consume it both ways.
Media.
Yeah.
Oh,
So it'll be all good. It'll be all good.
Oh. Maybe go for a bit of a snap, crackle, and pop, so it's boom in your mouth.
Oh, that's breakfast. So that's breakfast right sorted there. That's a cereal of choice tomorrow. That is
There we go. Hoover of a Small Collection, hello, says, I shall be staying up to midnight because I got the day off work.
Oh, nice. I did that last week and it was worth it because we had the Northern Lights and Russell is using that Disney money well to promote the show with
much better than a Saharan ship projected over Liverpool.
Oh yeah, 100%, isn't it? It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. But yeah, we've got a few people in the chat, which is nice.
Yeah, I'm fortunate enough not to work weekends, so it works out quite nice for me to stay up on a Friday.
Well, you're up anyway. You're a night owl.
Yeah, not as much as I used to be.
Yeah.
Much to the disappointment of one Stephen Noonan, but yeah, certainly. Have some late nights at the weekends still. But yeah, so it works quite well with my schedule, I suppose.
Do you find that makes a difference in like your viewing habit that it's like midnight now, or
Well, yeah, I'm watching it on my own now instead of watching it with my family. But
do
then
you
I
not watch it on transmission?
Not quite on transmission, but around. Like we usually would sit down to watch it in the evenings anyway. Like it'd always be set up to record, and then whenever we finished dinner and we're all ready to sit down, that's when we'd stick it on. But yeah, so it's been I think ever since we had the ability to record these things easily, it would be a case of just sitting down when we're ready versus actually waiting until the exact time and being all set for it, because it's usually easy enough to avoid spoilers anyway if you're watching it shortly after it starts to go out. Like usually I'm watching it before it's finished airing. How about you? Is it always the event of waiting for?
I love the idea of sort of communal watching, that we're all watching it at the same time, like the 60th specials, that build up of the day of going, oh, it's on tonight, that's really exciting, and just seeing the buzz on Twitter. I think it's still there because I think it gives the show sort of a double boost in the sense that the fans get it first, and then Joe Public can tweet about it once it's broadcast or whatever. So it gives it a chance to sort of stay trending, which I think is cool for it.
Yeah, I mean, I get to watch it by myself and then have the family experience, and it's nice to have the by myself experience first, so I don't have like the little comments all throughout it and stuff. So yeah, it's nice.
And you get to sort of brace them for there's always a twist at the end, and you'll sort of sink lower.
I know what
to expect. Like, oh god, here it goes.
I know what to expect, so I'm all ready for it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll be staying up until midnight tonight to watch Boom.
I think it'd be the perfect story to stay up at, and I think 73 yards actually.
Yeah, that's true. Hoover and Small Collection says, I do a double viewing, one on my own at midnight and one with my family when it airs. Because as much as I love my family, so sometimes talk for it. Yeah, same Hoover and Small Collection. I know your pain. It's ideal for us.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Daniel Hager, the second Doctor fan, thank you for joining us. Good evening to the best host of an amazing YouTube channel.
Oh, bless you, Daniel. Bless your heart. It's very kind.
Joe Bowers also says, evening, guys. I won't be watching it at midnight as there's no way I can stay up that late. That's fair enough. It's not for everyone. It does make me wonder if future Christmas specials will continue with this release pattern, or will it go back to as before? Yeah, that's the one part of it I'm a bit more sus of, I suppose.
I would like to think Christmas would be just traditional telly viewing. But I guess the BBC really want to push the iPlayer.
Yeah, and I suppose it depends on Disney as well, because they want their simultaneous release, don't they?
Didn't it? I think the Disney Plus was the same time it aired in the UK, wasn't it? I think that was the same for the 6 specials, wasn't it?
But it's all like, more of a usual time they drop stuff. But then again, they don't usually drop stuff on Christmas Day anyway, I don't think.
No.
Because like with American Christmas specials, it's usually more like the build up to the Christmas. It's like some of them do Christmas episodes in like late November and stuff. I suppose because with the commercialization of it all over there, I think there's a push for less scripted TV around Christmas time. Like so many times shows take Christmas breaks. You got people, spending more time with their family around then. So there's less people sitting down and watching TV. So there's less people watching the adverts, which is how these networks make their money. And it's the same with a lot of the UK as well. But because you've got the BBC that doesn't do that, I wonder if that maybe pushes other networks like ITV and stuff to join in on Christmas Day anyway.
I mean, this year's lineup for the BBC is looking pretty insane. I think Doctor Who, New Wallace and Gromit, Gavin and Stacey. It's like 2009 again, really. So I think BBC's going to have a good one.
Don't forget New Detective on Death in Paradise.
Oh, how can I forget your little side thing?
When you say it's a side thing, it's one of the BBC's biggest exports.
Is it? Is it really? I just thought it was that little Sunday night drama they have.
I think it's pretty big. It's one of the most viewed things, but it's not like in the demographic that go online and talk about. I don't think it doesn't really break the internet as much, but it certainly does have people who sit there and watch it. Usually, probably a more older group.
Are you sort of outing yourself as like a slipper in the armchair?
We watch classic Who.
Death in Paradise is completely different.
Oh dear. It's literally going to be nostalgia Christmas as Hoover Small Collection.
Be very exciting.
But yeah, I think certainly the midnight drop will carry on into season 2, unless it's really not working out for them. But I don't see why it wouldn't be working out for them. Because even though they're losing viewers when it goes out live, surely they were expecting that anyway, because that's less important now compared to the iPlayer views and the Disney Plus views.
I mean, us fans are going to rewatch it a good couple of times, so we'll make the numbers back up.
Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful to be wanting to rewatch new episodes of Doctor Who now. Like so much of even later Moffat era stories, and then Chris Chibnall era, I just felt no urge to rewatch it. It was just went out on the Saturday or the Sunday. Well, that was all right, and then not really think about Doctor Who much again. But now there's so much more of an urge to just stick these things on and enjoy them, like back when we were children. And we do. I mean, have you found the same thing a little bit more of it?
I think I've always rewatched them because obviously I still get the box sets so I feel obliged to rewatch them. So I've not really
Yeah.
lost
But in the
that.
sense of like rewatching it throughout the week on the build up to the next one, because Devil's Court I've done 3 times now.
See, I've only done them. I've only rewatched Space Babies and Devil's Court probably on it after sort of a transmission. So I've only done them twice. But I think the 60th specials, I definitely had that hankering of, I'll stick it. Go on then, I'll watch those.
I've definitely lost track of the amount of times I've watched Star Beast.
Oh, it's interesting because a lot of people are sort of putting that RTD2 sort of rankings, and I see Star Beast, so I'm like, no, it's the best of the specials. But each to their own. Each to their own.
I would probably say Wild Blue Yonder is the best.
It's the better story.
But I'm more inclined it the least.
Yeah,
by far.
You've got to be in that mindset for it. Whereas Star Beast, it's fluffy. It's got the meep. It's got some nice early laughs. It's great.
Yeah, it's got partners in crime energy, doesn't it?
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah, and then same with the Giggle as well. I could just stick that on and have a brilliant time with it. Right. Hoovian Full Collection says, I've slowly gotten into Death in Paradise a little. Wonderful stuff, Hoovian.
You're converting everybody, Luke.
Yeah. This channel will soon be the Death in Paradise channel.
Gotta watch it. Isn't Peter David? Oh, he's in the spin-off, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in the main one as well, actually, for one episode, but like different character.
The one episode.
This was I mean, he's sort of like one of the what's it called? Suspects.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you have him pop up as a disgruntled writer of a film.
That sounds about Davo.
Yeah, where the star has been murdered.
Lady Christina, so Michelle Ryan's in the same episode as Big Davo.
Yeah, that's the one. Oh no, sorry. Wow. It's the star's stunt double who gets murdered.
Okay. You've ruined it now.
It happens in the first 2 minutes. It happens before the it's the synopsis for the episode. I haven't told you who the murderer is. But yeah, Michelle Ryan is the star of it.
Okay. That's cool.
Series 3, episode 2, literally the last one I watched. Yes, indeed, Hoovian Small Collection.
Perfectly timed.
Very good one. I cannot wait for the new Second Doctor Big Finish this July, and I cannot wait for the rest of this year's series. Yeah, it's going to be a big month for the Second Doctor is July.
2024 is looking to be a good year for Big Finish so far.
Yeah, very much so. But tonight, what are we doing tonight?
We are talking about Moffat, and I think this is going to be very interesting because you've sort of revealed your card of not rewatching some of his episodes, and I'm very much, I guess, a Moffat apologist. I love his era.
I mean, I did rewatch one last night. Not quite for this because it's one I already know how I feel about. Yeah, it's just one of those things of, you know what, boom tomorrow, or well, technically the day after, but you know what I mean. I just felt in the mood to watch The Beast Below, so that's what I did. And we will talk about our thoughts on that one shortly. We've got a whole tier list of all of his episodes to get through that he wrote solo, and we're missing out mini episodes as well because it doesn't quite feel fair to rank them on the same level as a full episode, like they're different beasts. And then with the co-written ones, it's not solely him, and sometimes he co-wrote pretty much all of his era, didn't he? He would go in and edit them. It's just to what extent. So it makes sense, makes it simpler to just do the ones that he is the sole credited writer for, I feel. Apologies if you were here waiting to see our thoughts on Rain Gods or...
Rain Gods, I'll just get it out of the way. It's all right. It's kind of middle tier, I'll say that.
It's sort of hard for it to be anything more than it is. But at the same time, it isn't much for what it is.
It was not. It's always good to get the minisodes for like the box sets. That was a nice little incentive.
Yeah, I mean, when making it, I was going, oh, better put Time Crash on there. And then I started thinking, I was like, oh, that would also mean I've got to put so many other minisodes on there to make it fair. And it just felt wrong in the end. Apologies if you do feel like it's worth doing minisodes. I think it would be worth doing every
separate tier
minisode
list.
in a separate, like not just Moffat's ones, but all of them. I mean, I'm pretty sure 90% of minisodes are by Moffat, but you know.
Well, his era really pushed that, especially when we got to Series 6, I think, with like the prequels and all that sort of stuff we got.
A lot of it was the big iPlayer push as well, wasn't it? Because that was
Yes.
still in its early days. Like, when did that properly come around?
I think iPlay was like 2007-ish, I want to say.
So yeah, very much there from just after the birth of Doctor Who. Yeah, certainly with the rise of the internet even more so in the 2010s, I think it made sense for those to really be pushed out. And I think Moffat as well was quite visionary. And I remember this interview of him talking about how, TV shows will stop being set lengths as, it's less about filling a slot in a TV schedule and more about, just having it to be content online, which is what it is now when you look at so many other Disney Plus shows. The episode lengths can vary greatly. Same with Netflix and such. I mean, it's not quite to the extent that Moffat was going, and it was a hyperbole from him, where he's saying, "Oh, you can have an episode that's 10 minutes followed by an episode that's an hour and a half." He's not. We're not quite at that level, but no, I remember thinking, "You're chatting nonsense" at the time, but no, he was completely right, and I think it does show his knowledge of the TV industry, not just as it is, but he's noticing the trends there, isn't he? He's seeing where it's going. And yeah, with that one, he was bang on. Who from a Small Collection says, I like Moffat, but mixed about his stuff post 2013.
I can see
I
that.
suppose Capaldi, yeah, Capaldi, I suppose.
Well, I think Deep Breath is the interesting one to compare, which we'll go to, because I think they were trying to replicate the same success Day of the Doctor had with Deep Breath, because you had the cinema launch, you had a whole world tour. They were really riding on the success of Day of the Doctor and the whole 50th year. So it'd be interesting to dive into that, because I think Deep Breath is an interesting story, to say the least.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny, we're sort of having the same thing now, really, aren't we?
Yeah.
Where you have your big celebration followed by the introduction of a new Doctor. Although this did it a bit more immediately with, him appearing in the Giggle. Obviously, we got Capaldi in Day of the Doctor, but it's not quite the same. Yeah. And then only a couple of weeks later, it was the Christmas special. So it's interesting how those trends have sort of repeated themselves a little bit. Obviously, things are a bit different, but yeah, and hopefully it's getting better for them this time.
Yeah, I hope so. What's your favourite Moffat series?
A 5, I would say. I've seen Daniel Hager mention 10 there in the chat.
10's very good.
As I love the 12th Doctor and Bill, Daniel says.
Not Nardole. Not a fan of Nardole.
Well, you'll have to let us know about your thoughts on Nardole there, Daniel Hager. You can't leave him out.
No, I love Nardole. I think Series 10 is probably my third favourite of the new series. I think at the moment I'm feeling Series 5 as my favourite, like new series in general. I think it's
may be
so brilliant.
Yeah.
Like Series 1 special because it was my first series and not a bad story in it, but Series 5 so good.
Series 4 for me, I feel I have a lot of love for that one. I mean, you have such a strong set of stories towards the end as well, where you got the library two-parter followed by Midnight and Turn Left, and then the grand finale. But I mean, the whole RTD era has very few duds. Series 5 has no duds whatsoever, I don't think. Oh, maybe Vampires of Venice.
Oh no, that's really good. I love that one.
It's my least favorite of the series.
I'd say The Lodge is my least favorite from
I had a
series
good
5.
time with that one.
Yeah, that's probably my least favorite.
It's fun. It's one of those ones where you look at what you would rank low and you feel like, no, it feels wrong to put this story here. But then you look at the ones above it and you think, well, they are all better. So, just because it's low in a great series doesn't mean it's on the same level as something you put in that same position for a different series.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the bar's just so high with Series 5. I also think Moffat got a bit of fatigue with Doctor Who and Sherlock, and it sort of affected his writing style. He went from the guy who could write banger, banger, banger to the guy who wrote one banger per series. That's in a small collection. So I think Moffat himself is perhaps his biggest critic, isn't he? Sometimes.
Yeah.
Which we'll get into. And I think he has admitted that there was some crunch going on there, particularly around the time of the 50th, where he also had Sherlock to work on. And he was at the point of potentially not having Matt Smith properly on board for Day of the Doctor.
Which is a wild thing to think about.
Yeah. I think he knew deep down that he would get Matt Smith for that. But because it's not contractually written down yet, he couldn't guarantee it. And there's probably always that, oh, what if something goes wrong, thought in his mind towards it. And I do love Matt Lucas in Doctor Who, and I wish he came back in Doctor Who. Is there room for Nardole alongside Ncuti Gatwa?
I think there is. There's always room for Nardole.
Amy's Choice is my least favourite Series 5 story, mainly because it highly relies on if you like Amy, and I don't like her. Fair enough.
I see. Yeah, I see that.
Mm-hmm. I think so. She's a complicated character, but one who's human at the same time. I think
we'll get to that bit.
Yeah. Very much woman written by Moffat as well.
I think that's his downside.
I wonder if he's improved on that when we come to Boom.
Yeah. I think.
Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, Moffat, he just gets the mechanics and the character of the Doctor. I think he is the best writer who gets who the Doctor is, what they stand for. And I think that's what I love about Moffat. He just is so good at the Doctor-y stuff, like the speeches, the monologues, just that whole speech at the end of Dr. Falls. It just perfectly sums up the Doctor, and I think that's one of Moffat's massive strengths.
Perfectly does that. It puts the Doctor front and center in so many ways. But I mean, to be fair, with Series 10 particularly, that's where it really felt like he started to write well for women. But, I mean, he's always done a good job of it, but there are certainly some issues there at times. Odd line and such that you hear and think, that is very much a man writing a woman, not something a woman would perhaps say. But so when you look at Bill as a character, so well formed and wonderful, great stuff. But again, we're coming at this from a man's perspective, so we are perhaps limited ourselves as well.
Yeah,
gotta be aware of your own limitations. I hope we don't get a browser history joke. Yeah.
I can see it. I can see it because you've got a line from Eclipse and dad skills, and I'm like, yeah, that's definitely a Moffat line. Because Capaldi said it a couple of times in his era, so I'm like, yeah, Moffat's back.
Yeah, but this is also about as long a gap since when he stopped writing and now as it was from when he started his era. When you're looking at 2010 to 17, 17 to 24, it's like 7 years each way.
Wow. That doesn't make me feel old at all.
No, that is the entire Moffat era has run twice since it started. Oh,
we're starting again.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Sonic Shades come back.
I mean, Shooty would slay them. Like he's an absolute fashion king, so I wouldn't be
he looks good in
surprised.
practically anything, doesn't he?
Have you seen the full duffel coat outfit now from 73 Yards?
Oh, I've not yet, I don't think.
He looks like Captain Birdseye. I'll see if I can get the photo and send it you.
Wonderful sight to see.
Because I think it's MCM released it because they're doing like a special screening.
Oh, I see.
For it.
When's that? Not I'm going to go.
Next week, isn't it? So it ties in.
Oh, so they're doing it lining up with the actual drop of the episode.
I believe so.
Okay. Concurrently.
Right. I've got the photo.
Oh, nice. Let's show it off to everyone. 73 Yards might be the episode of the series. It certainly looks to be an intriguing one. And looks like there's a lot going on with it as well. Like you got the whole Welsh coastline, supposedly Welsh folklore, horror inspired story. But also you got a load of politics stuff going on as well. Like that all seems to be in this episode. Perhaps Kate too, I believe. Unit. So it's also the is it Celia Imrie?
Or no, Sean Phillips.
Sean Phillips, yes, that's it. I just remember it's one distinguished actor who works a lot for Big Finish.
Yeah, quite a lot.
Yeah, that's where I remember the name from. Yeah, Sean Phillips. This is her episode as well. But yeah, I sort of partly worried that there's a lot going on, but I remember the giggle juggled all that really well for me. Like tonally, the whole madness of the opening and the closing, but then also the horror in the middle, and how there's a lot going on there, but you don't feel like you're getting whiplash with it at all. It all feels very interwoven. So I wonder if this could be another story like that. It's hard to say because we don't know much. We almost know so much about it and so little at the same time.
I mean, I think everyone's excited for it, you know, because I think there's a lot of mystery around it, like you say.
Yeah.
And the idea of a sort of Welsh horror folklore thing, that makes me very excited.
Yeah. Another RTD one as well. He's writing most of this apart from Boom and Rogue, really. We'll have to wait and see. I think is 73 Yards one of the ones that's getting novelized as well? I know.
I don't know.
Space Babies. I think Rogue, and then I believe 73 Yards is the other one. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. What are the? It's definitely Rogue and Space Babies.
Because I've pre-ordered the other new series books, like the original fiction. So like
Eden Rebellion, Cage,
and Ruby Red, I think.
Yeah.
Which is out less than a month now. So that'd be cool.
Would you be tempted by the audio books of those as well?
Like maybe the Ruby Red one, because that's Millie Gibson, just to see if she does a Shooty impression.
Yeah, that'd be fun to hear.
Quite cool. But yeah, that Shooty's fit for 73 Yards. It's very Captain Birdseye.
Oh, yeah, we've not even talked about the picture, have we? Yeah, that's a look. He rocks
I like it. Yeah, it's cool.
Still feels very Troughton as well.
Yeah, very, very,
very cozy. Yeah, it almost feels like a story that would work better in, like, you know, the autumn time.
Yes, yeah,
it's got an off-season sort of feel to it. I'm sure it'd still be wonderful, even if we're watching it at the height of May. But you know,
yeah. I mean, if you're watching it at midnight, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah, it's close enough. Yeah, only a week away. Oof.
Yeah,
and then we're halfway through the series already.
That's the problem with the double drop, isn't it? You've waited this long to experience. We've waited pretty much 2 years for Shooty's era to begin, and it's the first series is pretty much gone.
Yeah. But at least
Crazy.
we're getting it regularly going forward. Like we know
Yes.
we're guaranteed the season 2 probably around the same time next year. We've got Christmas special in between. Like, even if we're getting shorter series, I think it works out probably around the same, if not slightly better than what we had before overall.
Yeah.
And also, it just feels there's less big gaps there. There's not, Doctor Who's taken a year out, that feeling.
But before we get to 73 yards, we've got Boom to contend with. And before Boom, we've got to contend with other Moffat stories. So, shall we start the tier list?
I'm sure that's why everyone's here. It's what everyone's waiting for.
Well, it's the main event of the stream, and it'd be a bit silly to dawdle a bit longer. But here it is, a tier list itself.
Oh. Yeah. I say that as if I'm not the one who.
You're the one who's made it, so if it's wrong, it's Luke's fault, not mine.
Yeah, it's that Obama meme of him putting a medal around his head.
Well done, me.
Would you look at this?
Wow, surprise, shock.
But anyway, I mean, it's a tier list. It's a reasonably thankless job to do. But yeah,
but thank you, Luke.
You are very welcome. A certified Moffat masterpiece is our top tier. No pun with that one. It's literally just
Day of
just
the
felt
Moff.
right. Yeah, Day of the Moff. Now we got a pun. For the stories that are very good, but just not quite the top tier. Good enough in time. We're still looking strong with that tier. Then requires a deep breath before watching. This is the ones that you're a bit more shaky on. There's good stuff in there, but at the same time, you dread watching it a little bit. The empty story for the ones that don't have as much going on as you would like. And finally, the tier below. It's what it says on the tin. It's the bottom tier. It's the ones where there is no hope of redemption for them.
I wonder what will go there. I'd be curious because, like we say, we're coming from completely different sides.
I feel like we'll be on the same page for a good little while, and then there'll be a divergence at one point, and then we'll come back round to the end. Yeah. Stylish one. Thank you for joining us. Sorry,
hello.
What did I miss? As Hooping was full pleasure, so just the opening little talk round. You've not missed any of the tier list itself. We've just been saying hello to everyone, doing a bit preambling, talking some 723 yards and such. The usual. You've not missed any Big Finish news or anything like that, don't worry.
No, you're all good. You're all good. Let us know your favorite Moff episode in the chat. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? What's a hidden gem? Let us know. Let's celebrate all things Moffat. Really, let's have a good time.
Let's get in the mood for Boom. As someone who became a fan during the Moffat era, his era is one I really enjoy. Probably same for us in RTD, isn't it? RTD one.
I think Russell got me into it, but I think I really evolved as a fan. I think in the Moffat era, because I think
I would say so too. Yeah.
When it got to sort of Capaldi time, everyone, I think that's when our little group formed.
It's when we got into Big Finish.
We got into Big Finish, and I think we've all stuck now. And I think that's the joy of the Moffat era now, really. And I think just Series 5 and just having a whole new level of excitement for the show, the fact that this new Doctor and just trying to consume every story with the 11th Doctor and Amy. And I'm getting that same feel now with Shooty and Millie. So it feels quite nice to be sort of having that sort of giddy, childish feeling for the show again.
Yeah. Speaking of giddy children, should we start with the empty child? Because he does get a bit giddy towards the end, doesn't he? He gets some nice little scenes with other children as well, like around the dinner table with Thanks, Miss, as the 9th Doctor appears.
I think this one, because of the sort of quality of the actual episode, it looks better as time goes on because it's got this nice grainy look to it because it's all done at night with sort of set between sort of blackout in the Blitz. So I think there's a nice sort of
The lighting is wonderful,
yeah.
isn't it?
It's
Like,
so atmospheric and brilliant, and just the TARDIS in that sort of alleyway is such a great visual.
yeah. It looks very authentic to the time period it's recreating. And yeah, it's wonderful to have that. It feels so natural, the lighting in this. Like things are pitch black around, but what you actually see isn't dark. You can see everything you need to see perfectly well. And who knows what's lurking in the shadows.
And it
Yeah.
uses such a great horror mechanic in the form of a child using something so innocent and then putting on sort of the iconography of the time, a gas mask, and utilizing that and learning
Yes.
about World War II in primary school and just thinking back to that and just having sort of a fear for gas masks when they were a thing that would save your life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah. I mean, it's very much a terrifying image, isn't it? And there's something always unsettling about the gas masks, like even removing that Doctor Who connection there. Because I think we can't see a gas mask as Doctor Who fans without thinking, "Are you my mummy?"
Or
I mean,
Genesis of
even
the
the Tenth
Daleks.
Doctor couldn't do it. Yeah, and Deadly Assassin as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, certainly, it's a somewhat iconic part of Genesis. Funnily enough, isn't it?
Mm.
And Moffat's also pulling on another iconic moment from Genesis with the landmine for his
Yes.
first episode of RTD2. So funny how things all come around in the end.
Mm.
Yeah, this story itself, I think it's got to be top tier.
It has. And
He's,
wasn't it in the top 10 stories of all time?
who by?
I think Doctor Who magazine, I think IMDb as
Oh,
well.
yeah. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, because I think that's how it come up in conversation with Nick Briggs, wasn't it? About Heaven Sent.
Ah, yeah, it's such a wonderful story. So well shot, brilliant acting throughout as well. I think there's some brilliant moments of horror, like the tape running out, but the voice still going. That's very much a Moffat. I don't want to say cliche because it's not like a general horror.
Yeah.
It feels wrong to say cliche because cliche
Yeah.
is usually a negative term, but it's a motif, I suppose, that he will repeat from time to time. You have the same thing in Silence in the Library, where it's like, how many of us are there in this room? Well, 5. Why is there 6 shadows then? All turn around. Hey, who turned up the lights? I mean, catchphrases as well. And
Mm.
something Moffat always did very well. Yeah. Girl in the Fireplace. His first for the 10th Doctor. And for some people, it's where the 10th Doctor is fully formed.
I would say that's School Reunion.
In some way, you have that wonderful scene towards the end in the swimming pool, don't you? Where there's such a darker side to him.
Because
There's that uncertainty with the 10th Doctor still that you have sort of bubbling away at first with the no second chances. That's what sort of man I am from Christmas Invasion. That I
he's
think
barely in
is
that. New
yeah.
Earth, he's Cassandra. Then you've got that little bit of a Scottish thing in Tooth and Claw, and then I think you get to School Reunion and you get the first full episode of him as the Doctor, I think.
I still think even the Scottish thing, it's hardly there for
Yeah, true.
Tooth and Claw, and he's still very much being the Doctor.
Hmm.
That's more like it's window dressing rather than the actual character depth. Whereas I felt like by Girl in the Fireplace, there's a more certainty of who this Doctor is.
Mm-hmm.
There's an unpredictability of the 10th Doctor at first. But here, I think this is what you have for the 10th Doctor going forward from this point on. Before you get towards the end and you have the darker streak with the Time Lord Victorious stuff.
I think Girl in the Fireplace does the best way of romanticizing the Doctor. I think it's the best way it's been done.
I think it's much, much better when it's one-off characters versus companions. I think there's something. It's wonderful having the heartbreak of it as well.
Yes.
Isn't it? It's almost like, can the Doctor ever truly be happy?
Yeah. I think the music is beautiful for it.
Mm.
A nice little precursor to Listen with the monster under the bed. That scared me a lot. A sort of clock, how it just sort of, the clockwork droid just sort of jolts out from the bed.
Like the music for those parts, like the sting of it almost. But yeah, I mean that's another one of that same Moffat motif of, if this clock is broken, why can we still hear a clock ticking? Yeah, it's that same vein of the tape running out and the 6 shadows in the room. I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying 6.
Yeah,
I think that's how many characters there were by that point. Plus Dave. Was it Dave or Other Dave who went first?
Other Dave. I think it was Dave first, and then Other Dave after. I think.
Yeah, I think that's the way it went. But I think Girl in the Fireplace is brilliant. I think it's another top tier one.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think, yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's
this is where
it's moving. This is where we're diverging, is it?
Oh yeah.
You don't like your Dr. Lights, do you?
I don't like Dr. Lights, and I think I know. This feels like therapy, me saying this, but I went on a school camping trip, and the one thing that was getting me through that camping trip was Doctor Who. And when the Doctor wasn't in it, I maybe I just have hatred for Blink because of that. And it's a story I've tried and tried. Watched it with my uni housemates, and they were going, "Oh, it's amazing, amazing." I was like, "It's not great." And I hate people who go, "If you want to get into Doctor Who, watch Blink." No, don't watch Blink.
It's showing off in some ways the concept of Doctor Who, but it's not quite a full-on Doctor Who episode. I mean, I think it's brilliant. It's again got some heartbreaking moments to it. The concept
like the same rain, I love that.
Yeah,
that's good.
Concept of the Weeping Angels is brilliant. You could tell why they've come back, why they've endured. They are now one of the most iconic monsters of Doctor Who, really. I mean,
they're
they're the top 3.
Yeah,
I would say. Like, as much as the classic Who fan in me wants to say all Sontarans or Ice Warriors, I think the Weeping Angels are more iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, not more than the Daleks.
But everybody knows the Weeping Angels, though.
Yeah. Would more people know Weeping Angels than Cybermen? Like, if you went up to your average Joe on the street, would they be more likely to recognize a Weeping Angel over a Cyberman?
I don't know, because the Cybermen have been in it more recently, haven't they, really?
Yeah. But there's something enduring about the Weeping Angel.
Well, it's taking that childhood game, isn't it, of Grandma's Footsteps?
Yeah, again, it's simplicity is one of Moffat's strengths.
It's taking the everyday, isn't it, and twisting it.
I mean, yeah, there's so many statues on the streets. I think what also helps the Weeping Angels is that they have a consistent look versus with the Cybermen, because there's so much variation there. There's not one set silhouette. I think that's probably what holds them back a bit. Yeah. Whereas the Daleks, they have that same relatively unchanged silhouette. Same for the Weeping Angels. Yeah. I mean, I think there are better Weeping Angel stories to come.
Oh, yeah.
But I still think this is a very strong start. And you've also got some early Moffatisms here from his era. I mean, same with Girl in the Fireplace, to be fair, with the whole
young girl.
Yeah. Girl
waiting for the Doctor.
Got the Doctor as their imaginary friend. They're waiting for them. You know, like it's very much Amy Pond, isn't it? But then with Blink, you've almost got a proto Rory.
Yeah, you have. Yeah, with Is it Larry Nightingale?
Yeah, Larry Nightingale. And of course, Sally Sparrow. Yeah, some brilliant names there. So Moffat was, again, always very good at.
I mean, I think Sally Sparrow originated in a Ninth Doctor comic.
Yeah. I mean,
so
yeah, that's what this was based, because he wrote that, didn't he?
Mm.
The annual, I believe.
Yeah, I think because I've got it in The Cruel Sea, which is the Ninth Doctor graphic novel collection.
Yeah. Isn't Sally Sparrow's name in the title of it as well?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Sally Sparrow's Day Out, so it's not that, but it's something along those lines.
Yeah, it's something like that. I could grab it, but I'll just Google it instead. I'll do a young person thing.
No, go for it. Stylish One says, Blink on DVD has the full message as an Easter egg. Oh, that's brilliant. That's
Yeah, isn't it at least? Yeah, it's an Easter egg on the box set, isn't it? On the series 3 one.
Yeah, it's Moffat's first timey-wimey script, and he'll certainly go back to that again. I managed to get a lot of Doctor Who fans into. Managed to get a lot of fans into Doctor Who. I suppose what I said was right, but it's not quite Stylish One's message.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm butchering this. I managed to get a lot of fans into Doctor Who with Blink, says Stylish One. There we go. Even a small collection on the opposite end of the spectrum. Hate Blink with a passion. Blink is elevated by that montage at the end. No montage, then it wouldn't stick with people as it ended. I mean, the montage certainly helps, but I think the episode has a lot going for it. The music again,
That's uncanny. I've got copyrighted now because of that. The story's called What I Did.
What I'm talking about, though, don't you?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's good enough.
What I Did on My Christmas Holidays by Sally Sparrow.
There we go. Yeah. Bit of a long title, but has Moffat had longer?
Probably. Pyramid at the End of the World. That's a chunky one.
Yeah. Blink is a very short one, though. And I think oftentimes we as Doctor Who fans hype up the episodes that have a one-word title. Boom.
Listen.
But, yeah. There is something about having a one-word title that I think does get Doctor Who fans
catchy, isn't
intrigued. Yeah. I mean, it could have easily been Don't Blink as well. But it's funny how, despite them arguably having the opposite meaning, both would work incredibly well. But yeah. I mean, often people would probably more say Don't Blink than Blink. Just because of... I mean, it's the closest thing the Weeping Angels have to a catchphrase, I suppose, because they don't speak themselves, but there's still that phrase strongly associated with them.
Yeah.
I mean, where would you put it?
I'd put it The Empty Story.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, it's never one I've liked.
I'd put it top tier, so shall we settle on Good Enough in Time?
Yeah. I can cope with that.
Okay.
I think that's my hot take. That's my hottest take.
We'll see how we get. Have we got any more Doctor Light episodes on there? Is that the only one Moffat's ever done? I mean, certainly full on Doctor Light. But I'm trying to feel if there's anything that sort of comes close.
I mean, Magician's Apprentice is kind of that, I think.
Yeah, but because it's a two-parter, though, it sort of balances out, doesn't it? I mean, Heaven Sent's the exact opposite.
That's why it's top tier. Who?
Yeah, I mean, should we end off the RTD era Moffat stories with Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead? The story that introduced us to Dear Old River Song. He would go on to play a huge part of the Moffat era. So he was already in place as the next showrunner at the time he wrote this, wasn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah. Which was why he started sowing the seeds for his era here. And I think it's another brilliant one. Again, you're sort of seeing the similar trend of Everybody Lives. But it's such a wonderful... Again, what Moffat does well is the Doctor as a character, and you get that again here through River Song's point of view of him, the things she has to say, that monologue at the end about everybody knows that everybody dies and such.
Do you
It's
think River met the 14th Doctor because it's like you come at my door with a different suit? Could that be 14?
I don't. No, that's the 12th Doctor.
Is it 12?
Yeah, it's in
Oh,
Husbands of the
okay.
Song.
I didn't know.
Yeah, because it's talking about when he gave her the sonic screwdriver.
Oh, I
You
see.
turned up with a new, fresh haircut and a new suit.
I
And
don't
then-
like husbands.
Oh,
Spoilers.
wow. We got a while to go before we get that. Reptile Insane says, "Hey, you are my favorite YouTuber. I would love
Oh,
it if
thank
did
you.
my audio drama at some point."
Oh, bless you.
Thank you very much, Reptile Insane. We shall take a look someone, perhaps.
Yeah, we shall.
I like how technically with a later angel story, image of an angel becomes an angel, that Sally gives 10th Doctor pictures of the angels, so see from a small collection. Yeah, we ignore that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe those angels aren't powerful enough to check. They're more scavengers. I don't know. Banging episode, Silence in the Library.
It
is.
Again, fear of the dark, shadows. I think the Vashnarada are quite iconic. Just the silhouette of the spacesuit and the skeleton makes for a great figure. Really
it's
sort of top tier.
Almost a childhood game, isn't it? Staying out in the shadows. It's something you would sometimes do as a child, or sometimes the opposite as well, where you're like, Shadow Islands. You're jumping from one shadow to another, but at the same time, there is a version of that would be the opposite. It all depends on the layout of the playground you're playing with as such, whether or not you had more shadows or more light areas, I suppose, what you wanted to do there. But yeah, it's such a poignant and heartbreaking story at the same time. It's got so much going on. It's got the horror of the Vashnarada, the mystery.
The horror of Miss Evangelise when she takes off the veil and you see the twisted face.
Yeah.
That's creepy. And just the trauma of Donna with the family she's built.
That's heartbreaking. Honestly, the ending of this one does bring me to tears. It's beautiful. It's one I've arguably watched too much, though.
Okay.
I need to rein back on it a bit, but it's still top tier.
Yeah, has to be. Has to be.
So we're looking very strong at the moment.
I think it's going to continue.
You can see why this man was chosen as the new showrunner after Russell decided to depart. And what a brilliant start he gets off to with the 11th hour.
It is the Doctor introduction, isn't it? It's the best of the modern iteration. It's such a clever way.
Spearhead or 11th hour when people say the best.
There's a pace to it. There's just an energy, and I think with Matt Smith coming off David Tennant, I think Matt is instantly the Doctor, and you're there. You're there with that journey, just the comedy to the more sinister moments, like the corner of your eye. It was really good stuff.
There's that funny thing though with the bewilderment at the phone that's the camera. There's something funny about that, but at the same time, it perhaps was still quite new back then. I mean, 2008, the story's set in for the majority of it. Yeah, so you can get away with it. But yeah, it's just funny how, in some ways, recent this feels, but in how much has changed since then. Like with touchscreen technology wasn't really a thing back then.
It's the first sort of shake up in the show, and you can tell it's got a different style and feel to it, not only in the way it looks, but sort of the direction of it. It's sort of
got that scene with the
it's
point of
proto
view, don't
Sherlock,
you?
isn't it? When you get
Yeah.
sort of the Doctor tracing the sort of the green of everybody looking at the sun or whatever, and you've got Prisoner Zero's reveal. I think it's very proto Sherlock there.
Yeah, definitely. Fun fact: the 11th hour extended cut is available on DVD and Blu-ray with "Meanwhile in the TARDIS" added. Ooh, what's "Meanwhile in the TARDIS"? It's something you have to jog my memory. It's probably something I've seen. It's definitely something that rings a bell, but I can't piece it now.
I think it's the one where they go through like companions. I think it's that one.
Yeah. The one where Leela gets called out.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's that one because there's 2, isn't there, in series 5?
Yeah, perhaps. I don't know. Would they have done that early? Maybe.
Well, 11th hour was quite late in the block because it was Angel 2-parted, then it was Victory of the Daleks.
Yeah, but with it added as part of
okay.
an extended cut, I mean, like, is it too early in the timeline for that? I don't. Maybe not. Sarge also said there should be an interview with the girl from Silence in the Library now. She'd be older than Millie Gibson.
That's wild.
But, that's a scary thought.
It is.
Did you see there was like an interview with her and Shooty where she mentions growing up on the Sarah Jane Adventures?
Yeah, so,
so
Trickster
wholesome, so wonderful.
Fairies
Yeah.
started, doesn't it? But yeah, 11th hour.
Maybe there's a video idea in that.
But maybe there is. 11th hour. I was just
go for it. It's up there. It is. The Beast Below now. Moffat's least favorite story of his. The one
but it does everything right. I think this is the story that gets Moffat's vision. It's using the horror elements of like the smilers and sort of the setting. It's got this nice sort of grim, futuristic fairy tale feel to it. The opening of Amy floating in the TARDIS, it just sells Moffat's vision, who the Doctor is, comparing it with the Star Whale. It's a great. Amy earns the right to be a companion by the end of this story.
Yeah, I think it's wonderful how the second episode of the Moffat era does mirror quite well with the penultimate story of the Moffat era in The Doctor Falls, in that they both so perfectly encapsulate who the Doctor is. I mean, so many Moffat stories do that very well, but these two in particular stand out strong for that. And I think it makes sense for the story that is Amy's first journey through time and space to have it be a true definition of who the Doctor is. It's not about what life with the Doctor is like. It's about getting to know who the Doctor is, which, is a wonderful choice. And like you say, this world, this grit that it has to, I think it's helped by the fact that we're not quite at the HD quality. Well, we are in HD at this point, but there's more of a glossy feel to the later stuff. I think starting in series 6, this sort of has that RTD grain to it, and certainly the way the sets are put together. There's something. I don't want to say cheap because it's not cheap, but retro, I suppose. I don't know how to put my finger on it, but there's definitely a different vibe of series 1 to 5 visual language versus, series 6 onwards. I'm not sure if the camera's changed or something, if there was something in the ethos of the design work, but yeah, there's something there. And this story, it's wonderful how well that world is built. Just in the first shot, when you see the spaceship, you see the different buildings on it with Surrey and Kent and stuff, and London written on it. That the world is so perfectly built through the opening visuals. The Veta being like these elevators, but are also the underground logo and everything. The typical British benches, the hard metal ones that are not comfortable at all, but bring some nostalgia while watching. I don't know what it is, but yeah, visually this one really speaks to me.
And
The
it doesn't kill a
plot,
child in like the first like opening minutes of the story.
fake
Am I
out.
fake? Oh, it's a fake out, but yeah.
It looks. You do wonder how he survived it, but yeah, he shows up towards the end because the star whale refuses to eat the children.
Ah.
All the adults die, but yeah, the children get to survive.
And it's got a brilliant Matt Smith moment of like with the glass of water, and it's like I'm escaped fish. I think that's a great Matt moment.
There's a couple of those there. This isn't going to be big on dignity moment. Again, you think
big tongue.
Oh, isn't the bogeyman? Oh, isn't that a disgusting idea? What's Russell come to? We had this. We had
Rip
the Doctor and Amy getting thrown up on by a giant whale. This is what Doctor Who has been for a long while now.
Yeah.
It's got some wonderful, like you could see Moffat's mind working towards the Day of the Doctor here, with the Doctor saying once he does this, he will no longer be the Doctor. He'll have to drop that name. You sort of see Moffat seeing the importance of the name in the Doctor and how he'll eventually use that with the War Doctor, how he drops that name for a while. There's just something very poignant and beautiful about this story, as there has been with pretty much all of the ones we've spoken about so far. And it's either second to top or perhaps top tier.
I'll go second to top.
Yeah. I think it's not quite on the same high as those ones, but it's nowhere near as bad as Moffat seems to feel it.
No, I think if you're not a fan of it, go revisit it because I think it's a certified underrated gem of a story.
Beast Below is very classic with a colony portrayed by some rooms. Yeah, that's true. It feels more expensive than it perhaps was. It does it's a very good illusion of there being more to it than we actually see. Because it's so wonderful. The child sadly doesn't die. I don't know why that's sending me.
Is it because the child is ginger?
It's okay. A child does die in the
Capaldi
era. Yeah. If you want to see children die, go watch Capaldi era.
Oh dear.
If you can't stand seeing children die, then yeah, 11th Doctor is for you. He's the one who can't stand to see children crying.
I like the idea of like a society sort of chose to forget and couldn't bear. But it's like a proto sort of 1984, like don't question things, just enjoy the ride you're on.
Wonderful political work there. Perhaps it's got a bit too much faith in humanity, though.
Yes.
In the sense that this government does actually feel bad for what it's doing, but feels like it has to do it. Whereas, in reality, our government would gladly lobotomize a star whale for, their own benefit, not ours. They probably take off in the ship without us.
That's true. Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone, I'm going to say the best Weeping Angel story.
I would agree. I think, it's the typical, it's the same energy as Empty Child and Silence in the Library, that mid-season Moffat two-parter, but we get it a bit earlier on now.
Yeah.
And you got River Song back here, who is, I think, wonderful in this story. It's you're getting a bit more of a flirtatious side to her, perhaps because this is the Doctor that she recognizes now. You've also got the Doctor being a bit more getting the hump with her, I suppose.
Yeah, more of a domestic, I guess.
Yeah, which I think works wonderfully in showing that this isn't the second time that they've met. I think there is a gap left there, which Big Finish have now exploited with the 10th Doctor and River Song.
Definitely.
Yeah. But there's certainly a familiarity there with the Doctor. And I mean, you even have the tease of, oh, are you his wife? It's funny how spelled out it was from so early on. I mean, the Weeping Angels in this are brilliant. Again, that moment of something being in front of you. It's there if you want to notice it, but it's in the metaphorical corner of your eye. The statues only having one head. There's that brilliant moment of horror when the Doctor realizes it, and you're like, "Oh, that is right. That is something that was there to be noticed from the very start since they entered these catacombs." But you just sort of pass it off as it just doesn't come to your attention as it doesn't come to the Doctor. So it's so perfect how that all comes together for that horrific reveal of they are surrounded by weeping angels. It's not just one damaged one they're dealing with. Yeah, I think it's another top tier one.
Oh,
Top tier's
easy.
getting full.
It has one of the best cliffhangers. It's an absolute certified one.
Yeah. Stage one is a reference to the Doctor only meeting the weeping angels once before, which gets ignored by every other story. Yeah, we don't let a single line get in the way of telling so many other stories, I suppose. I mean, amnesia. The Eighth Doctor forgot a lot.
Swiss cheese.
Yeah. The time of the angels has that cliff everyone thinks is inside a cave, not outside at night. Oh yeah. That's true.
That's true.
The Graham Norton cliffhanger. Good
Yeah,
time.
that's the second time Graham Norton ruined Doctor Who.
He's out to get it.
He is.
Should we go for the series 5 finale now? It's funny how we're only 5 episodes in with 4 of them written by Moffat, and now we're jumping to the finale.
Yeah.
He got things up and running. Nice. I mean, he didn't step back. He was very hard at work on meticulously with this series. But it's just funny. Look, when you compare that to RTD 1.
Well, especially RTD 2.
Series 1, I mean. Yeah, true. Even more so RTD 2. Yeah, here we are. This is where the threads all come together with Moffat's first series arc, something that's done very differently from RTD. Again, which is showing off the differences between the two, really.
Yeah.
And I think, so far it looks like Russell's adopted a more Moffat approach in many ways, but with his arc at the moment, with Ruby, how it's not like something that you have to pay attention to notice these little word drops or phrases. So there might be that going on as well that we haven't picked up on yet. I mean, you got Susan Twist, for example, something a bit different. But yeah, when it comes to Ruby's storyline, there's something more in your face going on there, I suppose, which is very much what the Crack in Time was.
Yeah.
Popping up each episode. Yeah, I wonder if we'll get a snow scene in Boom. I think that's what. But yeah, it's a very different kind of finale as well to what Russell had done previously. I mean, it certainly feels like it's still trying to top everything with. I mean, it literally destroys the universe for one thing.
Well,
Also,
you kill off your companion as well.
Yeah,
that was such a shocking moment when Rory shoots Amy. Spoilers, but crikey!
I mean, yeah, Rory coming back as well.
Yeah,
the fact that he was killed off earlier, and again, that's another Moffatism. I mean, Rory in particular dying a lot, but yeah, characters in general dying and then coming back. But yeah, it's another brilliant one, I think.
Oh, Pandora Opens is just special, and that sort of teases Russell's new era of like goblin tricksters. Yeah.
I mean, part of me wants to dislike the Alliance. On paper, the Daleks teaming up the Cybermen and such, and then not all just wiping each other out. It feels, in some ways, ridiculous, but it never bothers me while watching the actual episode. It's funny how that works, isn't it? But you just sort of accept it as more of a concept than an actual thing to take fully seriously, because it is ultimately a work of fiction.
Yeah.
If you look too deeply, pick away too deeply at the internal logic of it all, it's all going to fall apart eventually.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I'd say second to top, perhaps.
I mean, I would
It's
put
close to
Pandora Opens in certified Moffat, but I think Big Bang kind of does lower it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I
So
like that it's a different kind of finale than the Big Bang. It's like
it's playing with the format, isn't it? With the Doctor sort of mucking around and like that continuity thing in Flesh and Stone with the Doctor's jacket, and then you realize, oh, that links to the finale. That's really clever. It's not a little continuity. It's you think, I found my first continuity error. No, it's part of the story. It's really well done.
Yeah, it is brilliant. I mean, maybe that's what's happened to the jukebox scene in Space Babies.
Maybe
We'll come
maybe
back
push
to it
the
at
button.
some point.
Push the button. It all links back to that.
Oh dear. Now we get our first Moffat penned Christmas special. Looks like we're getting another one of these soon.
Yeah.
But did A Christmas Carol bring joy to the world, or at least to your heart?
It's my favourite. So
it's a very strong one.
Absolutely. I think using sort of classic literature and then putting a Doctor spin on it, really great. And I think Matt Smith's Doctor just suits that time of year wonderfully.
Yeah. This is a companion light one.
Well, I think all of his, well, especially the Pond era special.
Yeah, the Ponds sort of get written out a bit at Christmas. But the Snowmen isn't, and I wouldn't say Time of the Doctor is either.
No.
He preferred his Clara at Christmas.
He did.
And then you come to like the between Clara and Bill stuff, and that's much more Doctor-centric. And I suppose, yeah, Twice Upon a Time as well is too Doctor-centric. It's got Bill there again still, but she's already had her ending, so this is her epilogue.
Yeah.
So it's not quite as front and center. But yeah, I mean, it's another top tier one, I guess.
It is. It really is.
Again, it's a heartbreaking one as well. It's so much right. A Christmas Carol is wonderfully emotional and nearly perfect, says Stylish One. Few Doctor Who episodes get me as emotional about one-off characters. Yeah, I suppose that's what works about the sidelining of Amy and Rory is that it gets to focus on the guest characters so closely and specifically build up these friendships. Again, timey-wimey nature of it all.
And it gives Big Finish a good excuse to go, hey, we can put these in a box set now.
But we could team them up with Churchill.
God.
And the Daleks. I forgot that.
Bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. Wild card Big Finish, that is 2015 there.
That's very much we've got the new series license. Who actually wants to record with us, and what characters can we reasonably make use of?
Yeah, just try to fudge it.
Yeah, but sometimes it worked. I mean, I think that Dalek story wasn't too bad actually.
Have you listened to it?
Yeah, I listened to the first box set of Churchill Years.
Oh, I've not got it, so I don't know.
That Kazran Churchill Dalek story is terrible, and one of the best in that box set's a Stylish One.
That says it all. Then that says it all.
I love that review of it. That little mini review you got there.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. But it's wonderful how simple the dilemma of this is. I mean, Michael Gambon as well. What a brilliant actor.
Oh, yeah. Really good.
There's that wonderful line of, times change, people can't. God, that one stuck with me. Shall we move on to Series 6 now?
Yeah.
We have Impossible Astronaut.
Doctor Who Goes Worldwide.
Yeah, our first 2-part series opener. This was where Moffat, again, his vision started to develop a bit more, I suppose, because before this was Series 5, while there was a lot of mixing up, there's still a comfort factor from the RTD era still hanging over, wasn't there? It was
the same format
in some way, yeah. Whereas now, we have a series where the main cast for the first time has stuck around for the next one. With RTD, you always either lost a doctor or companion at the end of the series. And so the opener was about introducing someone new, other than New Earth. But even then, it's sort of a feeling of, introducing the new Doctor still, because you didn't get to see too much of him in Christmas Invasion. Where it's come to this, it gets to be something very different. And set up a series-long mystery, but at the same time, it's always like an inverted series.
A whole era arc, I would say, for the 11th Doctor. This would cloud the rest of his era, with Silence Will Fall.
Fun fact, in the Impossible Astronaut opening, River is there twice. The Doctor is a robot and Amy is a ganger, indeed. So Rory's the only one who's normal.
And Canton Delaware the Third, where he pops up with the...
Oh, yeah. That's after the Doctor's shot, though.
Yeah, true.
He pops up to burn him. Or burn the robot.
Yeah. But what a moment.
The Doctor is there, though, in a way, twice as well.
Yeah.
Because he's both the robot and he's inside the robot.
But, yeah. What a ballsy move by Moffat. Just to... Because I remember, like, the Doctor Who magazine cover, like, one will die, who's going to die? And, like, the person you least expect is the Doctor. Because you're like, it can't be him. Because he's in the rest of the trailer, so it's like, it's got to be. So clever. And I think the silence are wonderful, using sort of the moon landing. I think it was a good story to launch in the States, really.
Yeah, it's a wonderful shots of America as well. Towards the start of episode 2 with all the characters on the run. Yeah, it uses the location well. But I mean, funny with that death though, I vividly remember a conversation with my nan where she said, "Well, I heard someone big died in Doctor Who last night." And I was thinking, well, there was this woman in the toilets, but I don't think that was
Joy.
I was racking my brains thinking, wait, who died? And I was like, oh yeah, the Doctor technically died towards the start, but then turned up younger. I think, partly because you knew it wasn't going to be an actual death. You knew there was a fake out coming somewhere along the line. But for some reason, was it showing my loss of interest in Doctor Who at this time? Or was it just due to I don't know. Or was it just due to so much going on later in the episode that excited me that I sort of slipped? Because, it's not quite connected to the silence plot that goes on later. But it is connected to the silence overall plot of the era. But you know what I mean? They're sort of quite separate in this story. You got your opening bit, and then when the younger Doctor turns up, you sort of getting into the main plot with the silence and this mystery. But yeah, because certainly around Series 6 was when I drifted from Doctor Who.
Okay.
But I don't know if... I don't feel like it was around this time, because I do remember enjoying, and still do enjoy, Day of the Moon and the Impossible
It's a really good one.
But yes, and this was around the time I was getting big into Star Wars as well.
Boo, hiss.
Says you with your massive Black Series collection.
Yeah, but
I say massive.
Doctor Who is king.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, there was a funny time where I drifted away from Doctor Who for a while, and then got back into it for the time of the 50th. Maybe the split season didn't help either. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was one of the negatives. I think it was obviously adopted in the American format of split seasons, wasn't it?
I mean, do you think it worked better for Series 6 or for Series 7?
I think it worked probably better for Series 7 because it gave it a different feel.
It's very much two different series.
Yeah, but they've sandwiched together, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I think the split season probably damaged Series 6 with such a heavy arc, probably made the general public go, you know what, this is too complicated, because there's been a gap from June, July to maybe August, was it?
I mean, it
late
wasn't
August.
It wasn't that long, to be fair, but nevertheless, I feel like an impact.
It probably felt like an eternity for us.
But yeah, certainly Series 6 was around the time I felt myself drifting from Doctor Who. Before I got pulled back in and really became a big Classic Who fan after that, getting into 2013, building up that hype for the anniversary and such. That was when I really got big into Doctor Who as I am now. Like you say, this was when we really developed as fans during the Moffat era. Whereas the RTD era, I was a fan of the new series and certainly had watched mostly Dalek and Cybermen Classic Who stories. But that was more, I suppose, in a way, my dad pushing that on me, being like, you know, oh, you're liking this. This is the stuff that I grew up with.
This is the good shit.
Whereas, yeah, by 2013, it was me going, "Ooh, this is the good shit." I mean, yeah, maybe I was just disappointed with the quality of the show at that point. I was like, you know, I'm gonna.
You're in your
edgy
teen lord phase, probably. You're starting to become critical thinking, I guess.
Yeah, and so you naturally turn on everything. But yeah, Impossible Astronaut, Day of the Moon, second to top.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree.
Fun fact, general public actually stuck around waiting twice for Series 6. The drop-off is a popular misconception. The split season idea is much better in shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., says Stylish One. Yeah, certainly. Especially because they have like 22 episodes a series. That's the thing with like a lot of American shows that had the split seasons. They were going for 20 odd episodes, whereas with Doctor Who, where it's only 13, it didn't quite fit as well. Series 6 is really underrated and would benefit from even more arc-connected stories. Yeah, it's sort of similar to Series 12 in a way, isn't it? How you'll have arc episode, and then you'll randomly drop it and kill time for a little bit before get back to arc episode.
I mean, I think Series 6 probably did it better with like the odd appearance of Gravarian. So
yeah,
it still kept going. There's something bubbling along with it. Compared to Series 12, where it's like, we're going to drop Lone Cyberman, but you're going to have Praxis and Can You Hear Me? You're going to forget, you know. That's 2 weeks on a trial.
I mean, things did come back, like from Lex Kill Hitler. You've got is it Tesselector?
Yeah, Tesselector.
Yeah, got them popping up again and such. So yeah, things certainly come together still quite well. But shall we talk about Good Man Goes to War?
We can.
What's your thoughts on this one?
I fall in the middle with this one. Like it's one what I see a lot of people love, and the chat's been giving it love, which fair enough. But it's one where I'm quite Marmite on it, really.
It's not your typical Doctor Who story. It's something very different. It's the
and it's got a different title sequence in it.
Oh,
it's the only story to do it to have the TARDIS materialization sound like the FUD. It's the only one has it when the DW pops up. It's the only. Yeah, that's a little fun fact there.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of trying to do a Journey's End of bringing characters together and having this feel of this epic mission. But unfortunately, the era hasn't been going on for long enough for it to quite have that impact. And half the characters are original as well. But then, you obviously a Paternoster gang gets formed and carries on here. It's the Big Finish gap that Moffat likes to talk about, where you know this is a story that could happen off screen. But he did it he did it very well in Series 5, though. Like how all the different elements come back into play at the start of the Pandora opens with River's journey to, the Roman times, and the Roman invasion of Britain, how she gets there. Whereas here you've got your pirate ship gang turning up.
Yeah, Curse of Black Spot, Captain Avery, you're like, get out. I mean, I know you
Yeah.
wanted to use Hugh Bonneville again, but no, no thanks.
I mean, the opening scene with Rory goes pretty hard.
Yeah, it is very good. And I think the Colonel Runaway bit, that's a good. It shows sort of
The
the
vindictive
twisted
nature
nature.
of the Doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think people forget how dark 11 can be.
Mm.
Really, you get it in Dinosaurs in a Spaceship with Solomon. Granted, Solomon probably earned it, but I think the thing with Moffat, he built up the Doctor to be a godlike figure, didn't he? Sort of that nature of sort of romanticizing him and why he's brilliant and amazing.
Yeah. Space Jesus.
Yeah, very much Space Jesus, and Space Jesus in Wedding of River Song.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's funny how I think people do forget how dark 11 could and would be at times. Also, it's funny looking at how this perhaps takes his era perhaps takes inspiration from the Seventh Doctor, in those darker moments as well. But also, in some ways, when you look at the dynamic between the 11th Doctor, Rory, and Amy, you get a similar vibe to the 7th Doctor, Ace and Hex from Big Finish.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I wonder if that was a direct influence on Moffat, or it's just a case of, parallel thought lines there. This character who is closer to the female companion and will call the Doctor out from time to time. I think you very much get that with both Hex and Rory. But I mean, A Good Man Goes to War is certainly one of those ones that shows that off quite well with Rory.
Yeah.
But right from the start, really, with Vampires of Venice, he's talking about how the Doctor doesn't realize how dangerous he makes people to themselves. Rory's such a brilliant character, brilliant creation from Moffat. Yeah. I feel like A Good Man Goes to War, though, is perhaps fourth tier down, or maybe same tier we put Blink on.
I'd probably say requires a deep breath.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry to all the A Good Man Goes to War lovers. But it's a weird one that doesn't quite feel like a Doctor Who episode. It more feels like
It's trying to be an event.
Yeah.
It's trying to be It's trying to be like your Stolen Earth of the Moffat era. But like you say, you don't have the attachment for these new elements.
Yeah.
If it was later on, sure, it probably would have gone down better, probably. But obviously, it's gone down well because people love it, like chat, which is great.
Yeah. It's also odd that it feels very arc heavy, almost as a detriment to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not got much of a plot to itself other than the overall arc, which feels like a weird criticism to say about it. But with a Doctor Who episode, it just feels weird.
Yeah.
I mean, funnily enough, I did see a funny post on Twitter. You got that whole ending moment. The only water in the forest is the river. Someone put the only dessert in the forest is a cherry sundae. Oh dear. But yeah, let's kill Hitler now. The episode, we're not actually off to do that.
Okay.
We're gonna put Hitler in the cupboard instead.
Shut up, Hitler.
I mean, this one, I think, caught a lot of people off guard. I feel like the Mel's twist isn't that, because again, it's similar to A Good Man Goes to War. It's not set up. It's only there in this episode, so you don't have that moment of, oh, wow, this character all along ended up being more important. Instead, was obviously you were going there from the very start. But at the same time, you could perhaps argue that this is the timey-wimey nature of it, because at this point, Rory and Amy hadn't actually had River yet. She wasn't born to then go off and do this stuff. So now it's like she's written into their lives since they've now given birth. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The whole timey-wimey nature of it. But at the same time, it just sort of feels like Moffat going, oh, I could do this, but I haven't set it up. but I could do it.
Because I'm clever.
You get some good lines, like River before she faces or when she faces those Nazis. It's one of the ones where the Doctor feels older.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, with the 11th Doctor, you always get that feeling of a old man in a young man's body. But this is one of those ones that really highlights that. Maybe it's because he spends a fair bit of it poisoned, so he's hobbling
dying
around a bit more. He's sort of, physically acting older. But yeah, I don't know about this one.
I like this one. That's a surprise, I guess. This is maybe a gateway pleasure. I like it. The transition from Mel throwing the TARDIS to like the cornfield.
Oh, that is a
wonderful.
wonderfully shot one.
It's bombastic. It's loud. It's proud of what it's doing, I guess. Test selector. It's an interesting idea, I think. With like the little antibody things in there. That's pretty neat.
Going back in time to punish those who perhaps got off lightly in the eyes of history. I just wish it perhaps did more with that concept.
Yeah.
That's often the way with quite a few Moffat stories from now on, I feel. It has a good idea, but then it drops it for another idea.
Yes, yeah.
Like,
I think Chibnall's more guilty of that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It gets even worse then. Don't Kill Hitler is... Let's Kill Hitler is one of the only two 11th Doctor episodes I don't like since this one.
Right.
No. Oh, fun fact, BBC Three skips Let's Kill Hitler are repeating Series 6 for the 50th anniversary.
I remember them repeating it. I remember Series 6 being on a bit.
Maybe not. I'm trusting Stylish one on this one. I think they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Hoover's Small Collection, the fact Amy and Rory and Mel's live through Miracle Day and don't comment on it. Separate timeline or something. I don't know.
Yeah, Flux.
That one's on Russell because Moffat's the one in charge at this point. So Russell should have bended to his will. Or is it on Moffat because he should have been, overseeing the whole universe as it was back then?
Moffat was spinning so many plates, he probably didn't even get the email from Russell going, "Hey, I'm doing this." He's like, "Yeah, fine, do that. It's all right. Carry on."
You're getting cancelled soon anyway. Where would you put Let's Kill Hitler then?
I would put it good enough in time.
I'll go for that. I've not watched it recently enough to have a full-on opinion on it. It's probably one of the ones I should have gone for over The Beast Below.
Yeah.
But I like The Beast Below too much. I was in the mood. Yeah. Wedding of a River Song now. I like this one.
I've rewatched this quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
It's one I tend to go back to.
It's one I feel like is often repeated.
And
sometimes I like catch it when it's on rather than actively go seek it out and then be like, oh, it's not so bad, is it?
I think if it wasn't a finale, people probably would be a bit more favourable to it.
But I think the thing is, with Series 6, the opener is the finale at the same time because of how the narrative weaves back into that. I think what's awkward about it is that the first half of the series is much more arc-heavy than the second half.
That's true.
Like, you very much have a gap between Let's Kill Hitler and I'd say closing time, is when things start to ramp up again before we then get to this story. But never... I feel like almost the pacing of that's thrown off of it because, you're ramping up that arc for quite a while. Then you come to Let's Go Hitler and suddenly you drop it for a couple of episodes. And I think that hurts Series 6B. And again, it's another problem with perhaps the splitting of it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, 260 does have some strong episodes in it as well, like Girl Who Waited and God Complex.
Yeah, God Complex is really good.
Yeah. But yeah, this story, I'd probably say it's, I don't know, good enough in time.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree.
I love the whole alternate timeline
Mm.
dilemma that they end up in, and the playing about with that visually and such, and having Charles Dickens on TV. Winston Churchill is the Prime Minister again, but he's in Roman garb.
Yeah.
The pyramids with the steam train going in. I think there could have been even more made of that weirdness. Again, it's Moffat having a good idea and perhaps not quite taking it far enough. But he had many plates to spin with this one.
It's good trailer bait.
Yeah, that's true. But it makes you think there's more stories in the series than there actually are. More going on. Because you see that and you think, oh, I can't wait for the episode that's in. And then you get to it and it's just, oh, it was literally
It's
just
literally
that bit.
It's literally all that's in the trailer.
Yeah. The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. Perhaps his most hated story? It's the one I see the least defenders for. Like, I think something like Hellbent gets a lot of hate, but there are people who absolutely love it. I don't know anyone who adores the Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe. I think it's rather looked down upon. There he is.
Right. First time I watched it, I wanted to switch it off.
Mm.
And then subsequent times of rewatching, I'm like, you know what? It's not bad. I wouldn't say it's the worst Moffat special, actually.
I do look at it and I wonder, why is it getting this strong a negative reaction? I
can see why. Because it's like, hey, we're gonna bring back your dad in the time vortex. It's fine, and 3 people are gonna help, and power of love again. But I think it's probably better in this than Closing Time because Cybermen and love.
You get away with it a bit more at Christmas.
Yeah, you're more forgiving because you're probably half cocked on some fruit juice.
Yeah. It certainly feels like it's trying to achieve that same gimmick that Christmas Carol did, though, with the classic literature adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
But you could tell why they then went and dropped it after this.
Yeah.
It's lightning only strikes once in this case.
Mm-hmm.
I said that's in every case.
I mean, the opening's great. The pre-title sequence is great.
With the spacesuit on backwards and such.
Yeah, that's lovely.
I'd probably say 4th tier down.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, it requires a deep breath before watching. It's not the empty story of Tipley. I think it's perfect.
I think it's one more people probably will revisit and go, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah. Dr. Widow Wardrobe should have kept Alexander Armstrong dead.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
See, I can't even remember half that stuff with this one. I'm just going off the.
I mean, it does waste Bill Bailey. Assignment with the Daleks has a lot of promises. Does it deliver?
It's perhaps the ultimate example of 45 minutes not quite working out in this era.
Yeah.
It does feel like they shot themselves in the foot with the whole blockbuster of the week format and then going for this story that needed a bit more than what it got.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a brilliant concept. I think there's some good imagery done with that.
Yeah.
But on the whole, it feels like a waste of potential. I think that's what stings the most about this one.
Yeah. I think the reveal of Oswin, that's really well done. That's a nice classic Moffat wow, that's a really nice Moffat moment. Yeah, I think maybe
and again,
the
it's something he'd repeat with Bill.
Yeah, true.
That whole psychosis thing of going through something traumatic that your mind retreats into itself and you build up this fantasy.
But it works better
that you're
with
normal.
It works better with Bill, I think. A
Yeah,
lot better.
definitely.
Because I think
I
the
suppose-
Cybermen have got the grounds there already, whereas the Daleks
Yeah.
haven't quite.
Moffat never quite got the Daleks. I think he's even said himself that he doesn't quite like writing for them. Like, this is the first time he's written a Dalek story. Yeah, you can sort of see that perhaps he's better with his own original creations versus existing ones. But then again, he does get the Cybermen very right in World Enough of Time / Dr. Fools. So
I think the Daleks are hard to get right.
But there's no excuse for this one.
Yeah.
The Empty Story.
Yeah. It's
the
got all the
weakest
ideas
Moffat
to be.
so far.
Yeah.
Hello, Stephen Noonan. Thank you
Hello.
for briefly joining us before you head out for the evening. Hope you have a good time. Yeah, on my way out for the evening, noticed you were streaming The Beast Below in a tier above Blink on tier 3. Insane, but absolutely hilarious. Wasn't my choice. Ben would have put it lower. I wanted to put it higher, so we split the difference.
I mean, I could watch it in French and still have a good time.
There we have it. Beast Below. We agree where that one goes, though.
Yeah,
We're
solid.
both fans.
I can't say I'm a fan of Angels Take Manhattan.
I can.
Okay.
I'm not yet. I don't think it's a masterpiece or anything. I think it's. I was about to say it's the weakest of Stephen Moffat's Weeping Angel stories. I think it has some brilliant concepts. Again, it sort of suffers with the 45-minute syndrome, as a lot of Series 7 does.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels weird talking about 45-minute syndrome because we know stories can be done well in that time frame.
Yeah.
But I think around this time in the show, they struggled to do it. And it seemed like 45 minutes was why. I don't know. They just seem oddly paced to fit that time frame and have too many ideas going for them. But yeah, I love that idea of a charnel house with the Weeping Angels. I mean, they're trapping people in this cycle, this paradox for them to feed on. The film noir nature of it as well. There's a lot that does work very well for me.
But the Statue of Liberty as a Weeping Angel, come on.
It's a bit of a jump the shark moment. Yeah.
Like, I get why you're doing
sort of
it.
just hand wave it away. It's there for the iconography, not for the logical. Again, it's similar to the Alliance. It's like
The Alliance is more forgiving, though.
Ooh, I don't know about that. I think they're both. It's oranges and apples in a way. But they're both these bizarre moments that shouldn't work. When I think about them, they don't work. But then when I watch it, I'm just like, yeah, fair enough. It's too big a gag to resist. And it is ultimately coming down to that whole any angel could be a weeping angel.
Yeah. Or any statue, really.
Yeah, any statue. Yeah. If you're in New York, you got a story about statues that move. Why wouldn't you do the big one? Maybe there was a way to make it work a bit better, but
maybe that was like a beacon or like an energy source for the angels. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, Statue of Liberty itself is actually smaller than a lot of people think, isn't it?
I guess it's like Big Ben, isn't it?
Yeah. It's made to look bigger in, photographs and such. But I mean, No, I remember seeing it in person from the Staten Island ferry, and yeah, it's quite. It's funny when you go to take a picture of it from that, and you think, "Oh, I've got to zoom in quite a bit to get this."
Mm.
Angels Take Manhattan, I'd probably give it a good enough in time.
Oh, see, I'd go Empty Story.
Should we
Go
split
in the
the
middle.
difference again then? Yeah.
There we go.
Now the Snowman. This is not. You like your Christmas specials from
I
Moffat,
love
don't you?
this. I love this one. This is a good one.
I
I think
quite like it.
this is the best Paternoster gang story.
Oh, it could very well be. I think Strax is peak in this.
Mm.
Like
Especially
the
like the memory worm
stuff. Yeah.
I think again this sells Moffat's vision of Doctor Who of the fairy tale, the TARDIS on the cloud. I think beautiful image there. And again, it's just magic Doctor Who, isn't it? You know, and I think Doctor Who suits the Victoriana.
It's a shame we didn't get Victorian Clara.
She's
Although
way better.
Yeah, it is weird looking back and hearing Jenna Coleman with that accent, though.
Cockney, yeah.
It sort of feels so fake, even
Yeah.
though it didn't bother me at the time. But then you hear a normal voice, and then you go back to this, and you think, "What?" I mean, yeah, it would have been interesting having her as a ongoing companion. And Moffat said he nearly did it, so
should have.
Yeah.
The TARDIS reveal of the new TARDIS is great. It's just got a completely different feel, isn't it, with Snowman?
Yeah. I mean, it is very much the start of a new era, really. Even though
Yeah,
it's
it
in
is.
the middle of a series, it's very much we've got the 50th anniversary year coming up in a week. Why don't you jump on board now?
I would say Day of the Moth, personally.
Christmas spirit and all that, I'll let you have it.
Thank you, sir.
Now we have the Bells of St. John, which I know gets the stylish one very excited. It's a modern day, the war game, War Machine.
It is.
So, said it many times before, but yeah, it's taking that recent London landmark and saying, what if there was something sinister about it? Moffat's also doing his typical thing of taking something every day and turning it into a threat. In this case, it's the Wi-Fi. It's also got some Idiot's Lantern vibes to it as well.
Yes, yeah, I can see that.
It's a melting pot of quite a few different things. It's very much a series opener, even though it's technically episode 6 or 7, depending on what way you look at it, of series 7. It's good, but not great. I guess my feeling towards it.
I think it's quite messed up with what happens to like Celia Imrie's character, how she just sort of regresses into a child.
I think it's weird how it sort of seems to be setting up this arc for the Great Intelligence,
and then not appear until Name of the Doctor.
Yeah, he sort of has 2 episodes back to back, and then he's gone again. And there's not really an arc with him. He just happens to be a recurring villain, but he has different plans each time. Like there's no connective tissue there, other than the fact that it's the same villain played by the same actor.
Yeah.
Probably good enough in time. Sorry, stylish one.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I mean, you got the iconic, did you even hear the word anti-grav moment?
Yeah, and I always think the guy with the chips reminds me of J&T. I don't know why. I always think of J&T.
There you have it. The name of the Doctor. We're doing another finale where everything's ending, but it gets reset even quicker than the last 2 times.
Yeah.
The Whispermen are such a bloody good monster design. But I couldn't tell you anything about what they're meant to be.
Yeah, because you got that nice bit in like, was it like an asylum?
Yeah,
Like the rhyme about them.
yeah. The guy who's going mad that Astra visits. Man, and that all it just doesn't go anywhere.
The
The
ending's great. Clara reveal, and just oh god, you just looking back like the opening to of like just getting all the awkwardly CGI Jenna Coleman bits into classic Who. Like that was a real wow. This is exciting for like your classic teenage Ben. Really, I was like, wow, this is cool, man. Because I think
It's just love
2013 was
shit
like,
moments, isn't it? But
yeah, it's like for me, 2013 was like peak Doctor Who fan,
yeah, the chains of nostalgia are being jangled.
and it works.
Yeah. But I didn't get much out of this one overall, though. I would probably say it's another 4th tier.
Yeah.
Stick it in. Requires a deep breath before watching.
Day of the Doctor.
I mean,
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
It's okay.
Come off it.
Joe Bauer says, I've always felt the Wisp men look very similar to the Trickster.
Yeah.
They only got the same mouth, same pale skin. Correct Intelligence is the villain with the best track record for Stylish One.
Interesting.
Meanwhile, Hoover's Will Collector says, Near the Doctor ending like that pees me right off because it left me thinking we were going to go through the Doctor's timeline to escape for the 50th. I mean, perhaps that was the plan at one point, but yeah, instead we have weird time jump. But I suppose it's to make Day of the Doctor accessible.
Yeah.
Never, it was a bit weird to leave that cliffhanger sort of unresolved. I don't exactly know the logic of how it all works with stepping into the Doctor's timeline either. Maybe it's more metaphorical. Maybe they just literally walked and then they were out of it.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, could it be that doesn't even happen anyway now because the Doctor doesn't actually die at Trent's-Law, so his weird time stream thing doesn't end up there anyway. And yeah, so Clara never jumps in and there's never splinters of Clara.
Yeah.
It's all weird and timey-wimey. Day of the Doctor, though, is somewhat timey-wimey, but mostly straightforward compared to some other stories of this era. I think it's grand, it's bombastic, it's bringing back the 10th Doctor in style, it's giving John Hurt some wonderful stuff to do, and it's sort of Moffat fulfilling his vision of who the Doctor is again, isn't it?
Yes.
He doesn't see the Doctor as the man who could kill all these Time Lords and stuff. It sort of is a bit at odds with the end of time, how that portrayed the Time Lords.
Yeah.
But I can respect why Moffat feels this way about the Doctor. I mean, certainly when you get into the logistics of he would have had to kill children in that with the moment. Yeah, maybe he wouldn't. But he doesn't have to now because the Master goes and wipes them all out for him later anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, Russell gets to have his cake and eat it too, but by coming back after Chibnall did that for him. I'd probably go good enough in time for this one.
Really?
Yeah.
You praised it when we did our review.
I didn't praise it that much.
You were like, you know what? That was good.
Yeah, it was good. Good enough.
No,
it's
better than that. It's better than that. It's special. It was an event. It's Moffat at the height of his power, I think.
While also juggling a lot of plates.
I don't think he was juggling too much at this point.
I just feel like, again, there's more that could have been done with this. Like in terms of the Zygon plot feels a bit weirdly thrown in there. Thematically, I understand its relevance.
Yeah.
But I feel like more could have been done there. It still feels like it needed a few more drafts to really get it to peak. I don't think it's on the same level as what we have in the top tier.
See, I would disagree personally, but that's just me. Because maybe nostalgia blinds me, because seeing it in the cinema and just the build up to it, and it's become a tradition for me to watch it with my dad at Christmas. So maybe this is just me being blinded by that joy.
You're trying to make me feel sorry for you.
I am. I'm pulling out all the cards.
Day of the Doctor is my favourite episode, says Stylish One.
Okay.
Luke watched the after party, and that's why he doesn't like it.
Luke's a 1D fan, and he was so annoyed that Doctor had to share One Direction Day.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's why he wants to put it down here.
I should have made a special tier at the bottom called Day of the Doctor. Here lies Day of the Doctor.
Oh, dear me.
I think Day of the Doctor is very cookie cutter Doctor Who, says Who a Small Collection. I feel if it wasn't the 50th, it would be fine at best. Yeah, I don't feel like the title of 50th gives it high. It's very much fluctuating at the moment. It's all over the place.
I mean, I can settle for Day of the Moth.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say we go for anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think that's in between. Time of the Doctor now. This is the one I came around on more than we did.
Yeah. It's not as bad as people think it is.
No. I think things do actually make more sense than I gave them credit for back in 2013 when first watching this one. I think it does have its weird moments, like the whole I thought I left the taps running thing and such. The reveal of who blew up the TARDIS, that feels a bit underwhelming. But yeah, overall for the most part, I think it's good enough in time again.
See, I'd go Day of the Moffat.
I'll let you have Day of the Moffat.
I think it's solid. And just one of the best regenerations, I think.
Ooh. What, regeneration stories or the regeneration itself is one of the best?
Both.
The big explosive regeneration or the actual Capaldi regeneration?
Oh, both. Love both of them.
I don't know. It's more the Clara guilt tripping the Time Lords who shouldn't really be feeling that guilty about it. But it feels somewhat out of character for them, I suppose.
Well, it doesn't matter because it's Timeless Child.
Yeah, that's my retcon. That's my headcanon. It's just a placebo.
Like, hey, let's just send some glowy things through the crack in time and believe it. Deep breath. Continuing the hype of the 50th anniversary, again, got a cinema release. I think
3D as well, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't 3D.
Did they not do 3D for this one?
They randomly did it for Dark Water and Death in Heaven as like an American Blu-ray, I think. I don't think it was released over here. But yeah, Deep Breath. I think it struggles with the 75-minute format.
It's funny how we're jumping from 45 minutes to that, isn't it? But yeah, I agree. It feels like some sections are overly long. But, yeah. And again, it's all like there was potential here for something better. That's the case with a lot of these stories at the moment. I can see the potential for something better than it actually was.
Yeah. It's got some great visuals. Ben Wheatley's direction. I think the style of the first two Capaldi episodes, I think that's what they should have stayed with for Series 8, because I think those two episodes have a completely different look and feel to them. And then you get to Robot of Sherwood and you're like, oh, we've kind of lost that cinematic vision.
Yeah, we're back to TV now.
Yeah, we're back. Where would I put it?
I'd probably go good enough in time because I do think it has
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah,
It's got Clara getting hit in the face by a newspaper. So
that puts it up a tier for you.
I think I actually slightly prefer Time Today just because Matt's performance as Guy Grace.
I see. Yeah, I can see that. Matt's firing on all cylinders.
Deep Breath was too long. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? How we have jumped from that criticism of stories being too short to now one being a bit too long. I think it's also that it doesn't really jump around location much. It doesn't use its 75 minutes. Listen. Now, here we go. We're back into TV era. We've lost our cinematic touch.
We have.
I think this one is overhyped.
Oh, I love this one.
I love how in sync we were for that.
Oh.
That was brilliant. Clip that one, Stylish One. Get that on montage.
Oh dear.
It's a spiritual sequel to Day of the Doctor, I think.
Yes, yeah.
Feels thematically in line with that. Listen is my least favourite Moffat, says Invincible Collection.
Wow.
It just doesn't do anything for me.
I see.
And I don't get the love.
This is my second favourite of Series 8. I think this is the episode that made me click with Capaldi going, oh wow, he's the Doctor, isn't he?
I think maybe because of so much of Moffat's other stuff, I was expecting something very different from this one than what we ended up getting. I suppose, again, it's also the thing of making Clara so important to the Doctor with her being there for that formative moment under the bed. You know, that sort of rubbed me up the wrong way at the time. Where would you put it?
I would go Day of the Moth, actually. I think it's a solid one. I really like it.
Should we settle for one below that then?
Yeah.
Good enough in time for this then. Dark Water and Death in Heaven. I'll let you go.
Quite a controversial one, isn't it? I like this one a lot. I think, Cybermen, coming out of graves is great visual. I think it is a bit silly that, giving the Doctor an army. I didn't like that bit, but
it felt similar to Russell T Davies finale where Moffat's written himself into a corner, so I was like, oh, what do I do now? For me, it's more the waste of the digital afterlife that was set up in Dark Water. That's such a fascinating concept.
Yeah, Dark Water's brilliant.
Just for it to get dropped. I mean, is it Gus?
Yeah. Gus was
No.
Express.
Yeah, not Gus.
The Neversphere.
The other guy in the Neversphere, the one who Missy kills when he goes.
Yeah. That's from the thick of it. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I feel like that was a waste. It just feels like so much of the good stuff that was set up in Dark Water then gets dropped. Particularly, all that Neversphere stuff, I think they should have made much more of that than they did. And then it's just half an hour of standing by some graves talking. I do really enjoy the plane sequence.
Yeah.
Skydivers, I think that's...
You get a nice sort of pertly callback with the sugar in that, which I like.
Yeah. And again, with Osgood as well, I think that whole sequence with Missy escaping is quite terrifying.
Yeah.
It's weird to think back to before this story where we didn't know that this was going to be the Master. Yeah, how much? I feel like that shock as well affected a lot of people's viewing experience of this one. But yeah, it's funny looking back, thinking, wow, we didn't know that until right when this episode happened, right when we had that reveal.
Yeah, it was a good little surprise.
Yeah, I don't like this one really.
Okay.
I think it's what, yeah. Series 8 is a rough one for me. This in particular, at the end of it, doesn't work.
We should review Series 8. We should do something on Series 8 because it's the 10th
You just want me
anniversary.
to suffer. Oh, yeah, true.
I don't want you to suffer. I want you to go. You know what?
I
It
hope
ain't
I
that
would
bad.
reappraise it, but yeah, I don't. I have been in the mood for Robot of Sherwood, to be fair. But this one's a rough one. Let's say I think Dark Water's pretty decent.
Dark Water's is really solid.
I think that's a very strong part 1 that then gets thrown away entirely by part 2.
I think that's the trouble with Moffat finales.
The
first part's really top tier.
I think that's what makes it sting even more. Is that it had that potential. Again, it's wasted potential. It's a theme at the moment.
Yeah.
It's
I'd go Good Enough in Time personally.
I'd probably go right at the bottom.
Really?
No. That's a bit too harsh. The Empty Story, I'd say. So probably another.
Requires deep breath.
Yeah, requires a deep breath. Kai McNamee says, reunite the Whovian High Council to reevaluate Series 8 after 10 years.
We should, and we should do a Big Finish special as well, shouldn't we? To celebrate that as well.
Yeah, we should indeed.
We should do something with
that. Plane sequence was done better in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Agreed.
No,
not effects of music, but it had more impact.
No.
Yeah, with Doctor Who, it was more just show. But no. It's spectacle, but it's one of those times that spectacle actually works. Hubris Small Collection says Last Christmas should have killed off Clara at the end.
Yeah.
Have the whole reference to time of the Doctor truly impact it, and have the fact that she lived a full life. That's how it should have ended. I mean, yeah, you could very much tell that this was written as this is in case Jenna actually decides to leave. This is in case she changes her mind and stays. Oh, she changed her mind and stayed. Good thing I wrote this little twist of an ending in.
I don't like Last Christmas.
I don't remember particularly enjoying it either.
Yeah. It's a bit of a rough one.
Where would you go?
I would say Empty Story.
I'll go along with you for that one. Now we get to another rough one.
I think this is a worse offender. Like, the stuff with 12 and Davros makes this salvageable.
But even then, I think there's some good stuff in there, but then it all gets thrown away by that twist with the regeneration energy and such. Yeah, I mean, you have those wonderful scenes on Ancient Skaro, the Doctor and the young Davros. Okay, it's doing that whole
Doctor's dead. It's rehashing Series 6 plotline. The Doctor's dead. Who does he trust him most and all that?
Again, it's got a lot going on. That's too much. I wonder if Missy has a place in this story.
It feels too soon.
Feels like she doesn't have a place in this story. Yeah.
I feel like it puts a lot of emphasis on Clara within this. Like, Unit can't find the Doctor, but Clara can.
Yeah.
Give me a break. I don't like this one.
I think what makes it sting even more is that there was so much potential for it. you could see it there. You can see it in certain moments. But yeah, nothing really comes together. I remember quite enjoying The Magician's Apprentice at the time, thinking, "Oh, where can we go from here? There's a good bit of setup there." But in hindsight, The Magician's Apprentice is just a waste of time.
It is. It ruins 12's character, and yeah, it's not good. And I don't think 12
Is it the
recovers
tier
until
below?
the end.
Is it the worst of the worst of Moffat?
I think there's another one coming up that could join it there.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, I don't know which one you talk about there. I'll just have a look.
Hmm.
Or I think I might, but I don't know if I agree. But yeah, for me,
Okay.
it's the worst of the worst for Moffat. It's
Yeah, we can pop it there. I think this is when the Rock kind of set in and the Edge Teen Lord phase was truly there for
yeah,
me.
this is what pushed us to it.
And
Unfortunately, this is where I really started to struggle with the show. Yeah, same guy, Chris. Same. This is where it's like once bitten too many times shy. It's I got my hopes up, even though Series 8 was iffy. I thought, right, we're getting somewhere good now. We got some two-parters. It's so we've been asking for. But it shows be careful what you wish for, I guess. Yeah, this one definitely stung quite a bit. But now we come to Heaven Sent. Some people argue that this is a two-parter. I wouldn't disagree, to be fair, because I think thematically they've got a lot interweaving them. Some people also argue it's a three-parter with Face the Raven, but that's not written by Moffat.
So it's not here.
It feels like it makes more sense to include these two separately because they do have their own beginning, middle, and ends. And also they are very different in terms of quality, I feel.
Yeah.
But I still think Heaven Sent's overrated.
Oh, okay.
I think it's got that rather brilliant conceit of it being just Peter Capaldi acting as
That's all you want. That's all we want.
Yeah, and so that sort of means it can just do anything with that and get oh wow, that's amazing. When it is not always quite that strong. I think the veil is a wonderful idea. The screens all around showing its point of view as it gets closer to the Doctor. That's brilliant. Yeah, I think it's good. But I don't think it's one of the best Doctor Who stories ever. I think the emphasis on Clara is like, even though she's dead and hardly in this story, the fact that she still grates on me.
Okay, if we just put it in the Moffat bubble, forget everything else.
Yeah, but the Moffat bubble's a huge bubble. Like, forget
it's got to be
including everything else.
top of the bubble.
The stories that we have at the top are still at the very top, even when you include all the other Doctor Who stories. They are some of the best Doctor Who stories of all time. Heaven Sent is good, but I don't think it's that good.
I think you're just an edgelord here. You're just being an edgelord now, Luke.
I would say it's Day of the Moth.
Okay, I'll allow that.
Hellbent, I think it's overhated.
Yes, I can agree.
Hellbent's overhated.
I can agree with that. I think it's a Capaldi masterclass of acting that he has no dialogue for 20 minutes and just the subtext he has, the emotions he flicks through with just, two looks and eating soup and looking badass while doing it. It's brilliant. And I think it's got some nice ideas with like the cloisters and the wraiths within it. Yeah, I really like it.
The wraiths is something that I thought way more could have been done with.
Yeah,
that felt very thrown in there and then moved on from. Ultimately, I think people were expecting a very different story from what it actually was. It's much more the story of the Doctor and Clara, not the story of the Doctor.
Well, I think people thought this is, it's been 10 years since we lost Gallifrey. Where Time Lords are back. It's been 10 years. I guess there's a lot of emphasis on that.
I mean, Rassilon being defeated so easily feels a bit wrong.
I mean, he's a crap Rassilon.
True.
But yeah,
I'd
I
probably
like this one.
I'd probably say 4th tier.
See, I'd go good enough in time.
I'll let you have it on that one.
Because I personally think it's better than anything in that tier.
Yeah, perhaps. Husbands of River Song now. Is this the other one that you want to put bottom tier?
Yeah, this is my least favorite special.
Oh, wow. I think it's mostly made up for by the ending.
That's just the thing I redeemed it a little bit.
The rest of it, I can't say I really remember all that much of.
I prefer Harmony Shoal in The Return of Dr. Mysterio. It just seems a bit kiddie-ish.
See, I think to show my lack of interest this time, I didn't even realize it was the same villain recurring in those two. I think it's also not helped by the fact that this was the only Doctor Who we had for a year. But I think it sort of hurts to put it too low because it is River's final story. It is the combination of this story that Moffat had weaved throughout the Doctor's life for so long. And there's something heartbreaking about how it ends in this.
And it could have been Moffat's last story as well.
I'm glad it wasn't.
Yeah.
He really delivers when it comes to a good chunk of Series 10. But I would put it bottom. I feel like it's got more redeeming qualities than that. But again, I can't say I remember it enough to defend it at all.
I mean, I'd allow requires deep breath before watching. I'll go up to that high.
Yeah, stick it there then. Or what was it? The Empty Story. Maybe Empty Story works actually because
you can't remember.
My memory of it's empty.
Like it.
My memory of it is
just
empty,
like the brain of Harmony Shoal victims.
Yeah, there we go. Empty head, empty thoughts. The Return of Dr. Mysterio. It's fun. That's about it.
It's Capaldi with children, and that's great. With like a young Grant. It's Doctor Who does superheroes, and I think it's a nice little light comedy.
I love how Moffat took the Christmas special, because he'd done a lot of them by this point, and thought, right, what does Christmas mean to me? And to him, it was sitting down watching Christopher Reeve Superman movies. So that's why we got a superhero Christmas special. Also, superheroes were pretty big at this time. I remember when we first heard about it, we thought, wow, this is going to be absolutely shite. But I do remember being pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah.
I probably would say...
good enough in time?
Yeah, why not? Ooh,
what are you going to say about this one, Luke?
You've heard it all before.
I have.
I stopped watching Doctor Who after this one for a couple of episodes, then caught up. I mean, I had a lot going on at uni at the time as well. But this is just sort of like my...
blasphemy.
Yeah. My once bitten too many times shy. I was like, right, I'm just got no interest in carrying on after this. But then I did, and it was actually pretty good after that. So
it's a nice solid 7 out of 10, I feel.
I don't know. I don't get much out of it.
Oh, I like it. I think it's such a refreshing change having Bill. The show feels re-energized. Capaldi's, it's the perfect blend of Capaldi's Doctor.
I love Bill. And I think, yeah, 12 is very strong.
It gets the mechanics of the show. It feels like a nice little soft reboot. With what it does, like going to Australia, we've time traveled, and then you get like the jumps to like the Magellan War, and then sort of the silliness of that sort of quarry. Yeah, I think it's a great little soft reboot for the show.
I think for me, that jumping around threw it off a bit, I suppose. Yeah, it still just doesn't do much for me.
Where would you want to put it?
Probably requires a deep breath.
Okay.
How about you?
I would go with Tear Up.
I'll let you have it.
Okay.
Extremis is a bit of a weird one because it's always 2 episodes in one, isn't it?
This feels like a classic Moffat story. I think it's the best one of using the Doctor's I'm blind.
I feel like Pyramid at the End of the World makes quite good use of it as well, with the dilemma there towards the climax.
I like the idea of like the Vatican having like a sacred dark text of the Veritas.
Yeah, it's all good stuff. And the Doctor getting invited in for that.
And there's some nice comedy moments of Bill on a date and the Pope's there, and that's quite funny.
Yeah. It's again visiting that whole digital world thing that Moffat has a thing for. But then you've also got flashbacks to Missy and the reveal of her being the one in the vault.
Which is the most obvious thing.
Yeah.
It's like the River Song thing. Who is River Song?
But it's good that it's paid off early rather than being built up for so long.
Yeah.
Because then you get to the really interesting stuff with Missy's arc. You know, the whole can she be redeemed? Like going cold turkey from killing and everything. Yeah, I'd probably say this is good enough for time.
Yeah, I mean, I'd personally go Day of the Moth.
No.
I think it's a solid Capaldi. But I think what is a really solid Capaldi.
I think solid is underselling it.
It is the certified Moffat masterpiece, isn't it?
It is. It really is. He went out on a high with this one.
Yeah,
very
Twice Upon a Time is an epilogue to this.
Yeah, this is the big finale of the Moffat era. And my goodness, does it go hard. Both in the first part with the horror elements, the body horror of the Cybermen, that creeping build up to Bill's eventual conversion. John Sim as the Master, as Razor.
Do you want the good tea or the bad tea?
Yeah, there's so much good comedy there as well. It's wonderful seeing John Sim play something a bit different with that.
It's the best John Sim story, isn't it? I think.
Oh,
we love End of Time, but yeah, this is it.
He very much took a somewhat dramatic departure from the usual Master archetype with Missy, but then turned John Sim into almost the ultimate version of that archetype. He's no longer quite as bananas as he was in RTD because he's playing opposite Missy. You have to have that contrast now. She's the much more kooky one, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so you get a bit more of a serious Master from John Sim, but one who's still having fun. And I think what also works about him is, it's
very classic, isn't he?
Yeah.
Because he's playing with the Anthony Ainley sort of panto bit with like the guy liner and sort of disguises.
Yeah.
It's the perfect ending for the Master, isn't it?
They're both very much agents of chaos in this story as well. The Master has their own storyline, really, that's somewhat separate from the whole Cyberman threat. They were involved in that. They sort of kicked it off, but they're not heading up now. They've been double-crossed pretty quickly. It's wonderful how they get all that out of the way in the first 10 minutes, and then it's just trying to survive. I mean, that whole sequence is brilliant. Nardole to the rescue and such. And then I think what's truly wonderful about the story is that it's just the Doctor trying to buy this group of innocent people some time it's not even you're going to be safe forever. It's literally get up a few floors and get to live a bit longer.
Yeah.
And the fact that for that small victory, the Doctor is willing to and pretty much does sacrifice everything, the hopelessness of the situation towards the end, the whole monologue he has about, where I stand is where I fall. It's wonderful how that all comes into play here. And yeah, I think no story is a better summary of who the Doctor is than this one. It's truly a joy to behold this dissection of the Doctor's character so thoroughly. Yeah, love it. It is a Moffat masterpiece.
It is.
He went out on a high. Fun fact, in Scotland, the Doctor falls sound cut out off the bill left the TARDIS, meaning the first Doctor reveal was spiked yet reserved until he appeared. Spoiled, not spiked. The Doctor Falls is one of the best of Star Wars as well. Indeed.
Nice. Twice Upon a Time. It's a bit sad, isn't it? That you have something so brilliant of this two-parter and you kind of get a bit of a wet lettuce, really.
I don't think it's that bad. I'm going to do a Day of the Doctor on you. You enjoyed this when we did. It's not as strong as World of Photography.
You want it to be a high because it's Capaldi. You always want a Doctor's last story to be brilliant because that's the thing you're gonna remember them by.
But it doesn't take away from anything that the Doctor Falls did, because it's still how the Doctor ultimately caused the regeneration. That is the regeneration story in the sense of this is a sacrifice the Doctor made. This is just the story after that where we're building up to the regeneration, then it actually happens. I think it's nice to have that twist on the usual regeneration format, and then to mirror that by looping back to the start. It almost feels like an epilogue to the first chapter of Doctor Who in some ways. It is wonderful looping back there. You have some of the embarrassment that when you're younger, which even though the first Doctor's personality there is heightened with that, it sort of works because you do look back at some of the cringy things you did. You look back at your edgelord phase and you think, oh God, why was I saying that? Why was I thinking that? And so it's funny for the Doctor to have the same thing going on here. Aren't all women made of glass? Moments like that where you laugh along with it at the awkwardness that the Doctor's put, especially I think having Bill there as well for it. Yeah. And it's wonderful how that smack bottom moment does become quite heartbreaking when Bill says about how, I hope we get to laugh about this for years to come, or a paraphrasing, but words to that effect.
Yeah.
The fact that it could turn that comedy into something so meaningful is a testament to Moffat's writing, really, and Pearl Mackie's performance in that instance as well. That's brilliant.
I mean, I do like the actual sort of World War One thing with like time to leave the battlefield. That's great.
And I love that. Ultimately, there's not a huge threat. There's not a huge plot to wipe out the universe or something. It's just people trying to do good again. It's a nice, simple little epilogue that gets way more hate than it deserves. Even from Moffat himself, again, he's come along and...
I mean, I'd agree with him with that. It
could have been better, yeah, but I don't think it... I don't want to take away what there is here that is good. I'd say it's good enough in time.
See, I'd go requires deep breath, but because you've been kind to me a few times,
Not all
I'll
the time,
be-
but a few times.
I'll let you have it.
Yeah. The fact we don't have the 90-minute cut hurts, not gonna lie. Could save the app, says Human the Small Collection.
Got to wait for the collections, I guess.
Yeah. It's only there's quite a few stories from this era that have these extended cuts that we just don't have the access to the full thing.
Yeah. So that is the Moffat tier list.
Yeah. I'm yawning a lot. Maybe I won't make it to Boom after all.
Yawn instead of Boom for you.
Yeah.
Or bed
instead of Boom.
Yeah, so yeah. Pretty solid stuff from Moffat, really.
Yeah, definitely. Again, a top heavy one. There's a couple of stinkers towards the bottom there. Gets sort of as expected more from the later years. I mean, what would you say is your least favorite Moffat series then? Because we did the favorite early on, but we didn't actually decide on the least.
I think it's got to be Series 9.
Hmm.
So I think Series 9's a tale of you'll have one good episode in the two-parters.
Yeah, so it sort of drags the overall stories down. But also at the same time, you knew there was potential there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that the Flood two-parter is a pretty damning example of that.
Oh, I see. I think that's a good example of that working. I think that's the best two-parter of that series.
I also agree with that statement as well, but
okay.
I still think it suffers from it. I prefer it to, well, certainly Magician's Apprentice and Witch's Familiar. Also, I think it's stronger than the Zygon two-parter as well. Particularly, I think part 1 is utterly brilliant. And then part 2 is where some cracks start to show in the dam. The Power of Chris Chibnall. Oh, sorry. I should read your messages in.
Power of Chris Chibnall.
I mean, that is what he put. They put, sorry, Huvian. And now the haters are Moffat stands.
Well, if people think because we've had 2 rough episodes, in their humble opinion, that Doctor Who's dead and Moffat's going to be the one who saves it. The first 2 episodes of season 1, they're fine. Honestly, they're not bad. You've had worse.
If you could pick any Moffat stories to be novelized into Target books, which would you pick? Mine would be Empty Child / Dr. Dance's Blink, 11th Hour, and World Enough in Time / Dr. Falls. I mean, Empty Child / Dr. Dances could have a gorgeous Target cover.
Yeah, we'd have a good one.
Yeah.
I think Heaven Sent could work quite well as like diary entries.
Oh yeah, so
like you could play with like the format of it.
Yeah. Moffat did something very different with Day of the Doctor, didn't he?
That was
very
great,
much made.
Yeah, good Target book.
It was a novel rather than the TV.
See, I think that's what makes me pick up Target books is when they're not your straight novelization of TV. Because if I wanted to experience a story, I'd watch it. If it's something a little bit different and quirky, I'm more likely to check it out.
Yeah, exactly. It's adding more to it, isn't it? It's not doing the Terrence Dicks adaptation approach.
No, it's not just especially like a late Terrence Target book where it's just like 90 pages.
Churn it out.
Yeah.
Get it done.
One a day.
I mean, I think with the new series ones, it seems there is more room for that though, because they are shorter. Like, I think the Rose one is probably what Rose would have been had it been a 2-parter.
Yeah, well, I mean, Rose is very different, but in the best way possible. It's Rose, but with the knowledge of sort of a 2018 Russell of where the show is, and what the Doctor can be and who they are.
It's the same story, but viewed through a different lens.
Yeah.
So that's a special edition, if you will.
Yeah, it's a really good Target book because it has a proper Auton invasion, really, and how it utilizes the South Bank a bit more. Really solid stuff. And it does a nice target thing of who Clive's dad was. That was a really cool little thing.
Luke, I watched your favorite alternate reality story with a fascist organization and different versions of the main characters. I'm of course talking about Infernal Agents of Hydra. Yes, the Agents of Hydra storyline. That is peak Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And Inferno is pretty good too. Guy Gris says, my favorite episodes of Moffat is The Empty Child. The one I can't stand is Death in Heaven. I mean, yeah, certainly agree with you on Death in Heaven. I don't know what my absolute favorite Moffat episode would be, because I mean, Empty Child certainly gets the childhood nostalgia angle for me. That would have been one I'd have said when I was younger, but now I don't know, because I get Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead. That's such a strong one as well. And then Time of Angels, Flesh and Stone.
I think for me, it's between 11th Hour and World Enough in Time and the Doctor Falls. I think those are the ones where I'm like, it's one of those.
Yeah, World Enough in Time and Doctor Falls is another very strong example. Here from the Small Collection says it's half an hour. It's an hour and a half, sorry, till peak. Yeah. I was wishing away an hour there. Yeah, not long now before we get booed. Stylish one. Favorite Moffat is Day of the Doctor. Least favorite is Let's Kill Hitler. Underrated is Time of the Doctor. Yeah, understandable. Overrated is Girl in the Fireplace. Ooh. Yeah, I think Girl in the Fireplace does have its. I don't want to say haters feels like a strong word. It sort of diminishes people's flaws, which say, "Oh, you're just a hater. You don't like fun or whatever." But yeah, I think there are certainly a group of people who are against a lot of that story, which is fair enough. Do you think the Series 6 deleted scene will ever be released? I love how I know exactly what scene that is. I think that's lost to time now. It might never even been a thing. It might have just been trailer bait.
It certainly was some sort of bait, wasn't it? Yeah, unless they do like a collection set. I don't think it was on the Series 6 box set.
No, probably not. Like, was that around the time that the physical media started diminishing a bit?
No, I think Series 6 was pretty good still, I think.
I suppose that still had Confidential, didn't it?
Yeah, it had Confidential to, I think it was Series 7 where it probably you started to have lack a bit. But saying that though, some of the box sets late. Well, I think Series 7 made it with the mini-sodes, and then Series 8, you kind of had a couple of features with Peter Davison presenting like his own little, I don't want to say talk show, but presenting like what is Doctor Who and a guide to it. And then you're like a making of the World Tour, like behind the scenes of that. So, and then Series 9, I think Series 9 is probably lacking a bit.
Yeah, and certainly by the time we get to 13th Doctor era,
oh, the 13th Doctor
a lot more
box sets were just everything you've got on the YouTube channel. I don't think there's anything exclusive to like the 13th Doctor box sets. I don't think.
It's wild. Moffat said they would not be released at the time for some reason, so no Kavarian and Night Terrors or Ood Sigma in A Good Man Goes to War. Ooh, I never knew about Ood Sigma. I knew about the whole Kavarian and Night Terrors thing. I swear we have seen that. Even if it's just like a black and white work print thing of it or something.
Yeah.
Who Sword Collection says a timeline update. Just finished part 2 of Black Hole, meaning I've got the 2 Doctors in black and white. Ooh,
oh, nice.
You're doing a Stephen Noonan of sorts.
Yeah. Good to know. Good to know. But you're still at it. What was the last? You said Beast Below.
Yeah. How about you? What was the last Doctor Who story you watched then?
Oh, probably Devil's Cord. But before that, I'd probably say it was Invisible Enemy.
How are you feeling about Devil's Cord in particular now that you had time to settle? Because that one's the big like hit Marmite one, I suppose.
I think I'm still in the middle with it. Like, there's stuff I like about it, but just that ending, man.
What, the actual defeat or
not the defeat? Because I think if you're going to defeat a godlike being who is the master of music, that's. I think that's a sad thing because like people were like, oh yeah, this is going to be the Beatles, but they were very much on the periphery and they weren't the focus as such, and they should have been the one who probably saved it.
Yeah. I sort of saw that coming from how little they were in the trailers, though. Yeah. But they still had a decent chunk to do within it.
I mean, the 6 month time jumps probably for free. 15th Doctor books probably, maybe the comic as well.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I mean, you know, we say this as if 11th Hour didn't have a 2 month time skip within it, but that's a bit different because the Doctor and Amy are separate for that, whereas here, it's supposedly it just feels so oddly specific to throw in there when you could have just got away with it. Like, I don't see the point in it, really.
Yeah.
Did I say 2 months? I just went, 2 years, sorry. That's what I meant. But Whovian's Ball Collection said, I think The Devil's Cord is good, but I don't like the 6 month time jump. It makes me think Space Babies was meant to be a New Year's special, then the series was to air in June. And apparently the whole series was gonna go from January. So, like, you know, Church and Ruby Road would pretty much be your episode 1, and then the rest of the series would come along. Probably similar to what we had with series 12 with Spyfall.
Yeah.
But instead, we have a bit of a gap so that they had more time to polish the visuals, get all the post-production done, which, completely understandable, worth the wait. And also, it's nice having Doctor Who this time of year.
It's like classic RTD, isn't it?
Yeah.
In that sort of spring slot.
Yeah, it just feels right. And also, I think it works well for when we get the next Christmas special. You know, you've then got a little bit of a break, then a full series, then a little bit of a break, then a Christmas special, a little bit of a break, rather than just special and series all done in one go, then a whole year wait for the next one. It breaks it up a bit more. It's nice. But for Devil's Cord, though, it's improved each time I've watched it. Like, certainly at first it was a bit of an adjustment to, ooh, this is interesting. And so at times it was like, are we actually doing this? And me just finding myself with a smile on my face going, wow, we are actually doing this. Like with the opening titles, how we go into those with the piano. That's such a cool fourth wall break. I love the I thought that was non-diegetic joke. The 15th Doctor. That one very much tickled me a lot. And you know what? I like there's always a twist at the end as well.
Get out, madman.
It's wonderful.
You've been stripped away of music, and the first bit of music you get is that. Freaking hell. Take me back.
Well, no, it's you get the church bells and stuff. And you get your Figaro, Figaro, Figaro.
Such a crap song. So shite.
I do still love I have a dog. He's called Fred.
That's better. That's better. I prefer that.
It's such a meme. I love it. My dog is alive. He's not dead.
Do you think that's a reference to Sutek
Oh, maybe.
because of the jackal head?
Yeah. Get your own. What could that be a reference to? Is that where Ruby comes from? The Doctor's getting his own, a siren.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
Much prefer the Goblin song. Oh, the Goblin song is king.
I do prefer
that. Joe Bauer says, thoughts on the trickster being the one who waits? It's one of those things that at first you hear, oh, that'd be interesting. And then the more you think about it, the more you think, maybe they actually would go there. Since after all, they did, the toy maker, which just feels perfectly natural now, was actually quite a drastic choice when you think about it for the 60th anniversary.
Yeah.
And Beep the Meep. We have Beep the Meep on screen. It's something we always take for granted now, but that was wild seeing those first filming pictures leak of Beep in the taxi with the doctors. Wild times we're living in.
Ben, are your arms okay after reaching for that fan fairy? My arms are too long, so I can reach just about that.
Brilliant. The trickster was defeated by children multiple times, though, so hopefully he's more powerful if he is the one who waits. We shall see. I mean,
wasn't there a reference to? There was a theory going around that is Harriet Jones related to Ruby because of like the little poem he did for it. That the trickster it's in the poem.
Oh, the
Moffat did.
trickster, yeah, helped save Harriet Jones's life from the Daleks, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
I mean, the trickster is a very powerful threat, though. One I've always wanted the Doctor to face again, because obviously we did get it in Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the way he's bound by rules as well, that very much fits with the way the toy maker and Maestro have been treated so far. That there's a logic to their power and madness. There is something restraining them there. Yeah. And also, like Joe Bowers says here, the trickster was part of what's called the Pantheon of Discourse. So has it been right in front of us all this time?
I mean, that'd be wild to think.
Stardust says, will the Grask be back? Yeah, is Harbinger or Henry Harbinger a Grask? Because he's given off similar vibes to that weird boy in Temptation of
Rob
Sarah
Madge.
Jane
I blooming love Rob Madge. Oh, God. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, certainly. It feels like anything could be on the table right now.
I love all the theories. I love that it changes week after week. That we're like, yeah, it's got to be Sutek. No, it's the trickster now. I love it. I love this side of Doctor Who. I've missed it.
Yeah, I mean, who's on the bingo card next? Probably be back round to Sutek at some point as well.
Oh yeah, it will be.
Yeah. Hoover's Full Collection. I think it's weird how we had America Casino filming rumored, Roswell crash we saw filming for the yet, but we don't have an episode that lines up to it. I believe that's episode 7 because Russell,
is it going to be really meta?
From the show, in letter from the showrunner, he put that little teaser. The first thing I've written for episode 7 is, and it's the location near Roswell, isn't it? Better theories than Flux gave us, a stylish one.
That's true.
Just hopefully it can deliver better than Flux did as well. Yeah, and it's sticking a landing so far.
I mean, I think with this era, nothing's off the table. The rule book is gone.
Yeah. We're now in the realms of gods and fantasy.
And that's really cool.
Yeah. But hopefully we still get some variety as well, and it looks like Boom is going to be a bit more.
I think it's
Hard
going to be
to
meat and
find.
potato Doctor Who.
But at least in terms of how internal logic works,
Mm-hmm.
but nevertheless with a twist there. I think it's also wonderful with how fast-paced these first 2 episodes have been. It's a lot of running from place to place. The Doctor's not standing still for long, particularly in Space Babies. I think it's a genius decision on Moffat's part to force the Doctor to stand still for an episode. And yeah, it'd be interesting to see Ncuti rise to the challenge of that acting wise, because he's been brilliant so far. Him and Millie both have blown me away. I think particularly in their chemistry together.
I want a bit more from Ncuti.
Oh.
In the sense that I feel like we've just seen one thing from, like, we've got a little hint at it when Ruby is suspended in the air, but I think Boom's going to give us another layer to Ncuti's Doctor, because I think he's just been the blubber Doctor at the minute, and that's fine, but I'd like to see some more facets to his character. Really,
I felt like you do get a fair bit in Ruby Road, though.
see, I've not watched Ruby Road, so
he's a fake fan. Particularly towards the end of that episode when Ruby's erased from time, there's a brilliant moment for Ncuti. I mean, yeah, Susan coming back is also another theory.
Regeneration of Susan.
So many theories and so much stuff. Like, we've still got no idea who the boss is.
Mm-hmm.
We've got, Susan Twist's character, whatever's going on there, and neighbor Mrs. Flood. Like, we've not seen her since Church of Ruby Road. So who knows? It's wild. It'd be interesting to see how all this does come together. Hopefully it will do so wonderfully. Have you changed your opinion or not on wanting Susan to regenerate? Ooh, I don't know. It's what would you say to that, Susan potentially regenerating?
It's weird because that's the one Time Lord I wouldn't. I can't see it. That's the thing.
It's always been too long, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's like it's too much Carol Ann Ford's role. I don't think that connection to the character would be there.
And I don't know what could do really with it.
Yeah. It's worth bringing back once with Carol and then moving on from. I suppose with the Eighth Doctor Adventures as sort of the template for that.
Yeah.
How they treated it. Because, I mean, we're definitely throwing them out of canon if Susan is coming back. Or maybe it's pre-time or canon,
Yeah.
It could work one way or another.
But I think
I love.
Oh, go on.
I was just saying, I love that reference to Susan in The Devil's Cord. The fact that we have visited London 1963 and Russell's taken that opportunity to have that wonderful moment of, I live over there with my granddaughter Susan. It's just, it tickles the fan brain in the right way. It's not too much, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like an odd omission. You have those times where you think, oh, that would have been a perfect chance to bring this character back or reference this, and it wouldn't have felt forced, it would have felt natural, but instead we skipped it.
Yeah.
I think it's also wonderful to have such an open Doctor again, particularly after how many secrets the 13th Doctor kept from her companions, how much that was all bottled up. To have a Doctor who, is still in, he's still been hurt. There is that wonderful moment when facing off against Maestro where he talks about how, he has lived and he has loved and he has lost so much, but only through that, is he able to find this inside of him. And I think we see that when he's talking about the genocide of the Time Lords as well, and his uncertainty about Susan, is that while, he's not still sad about it, he's healed from the trauma of it. He's ready and open to talk about it. He's accepted it as part of who he is, which I think it's wonderful to see that different side of Doctor rather than one who's like with Martha tried to hide what happened there, or when with Rose is still very much dealing with those raw wounds of it. Well, I say it's a different genocide that time, and it is it's also the survivor's guilt there and the responsibility on the Doctor's shoulders, whereas here at least, with it being the Master responsible, there's a bit of a different approach there. I'm interested to see if Varada being in Series 1 is a Freema situation or planned casting for Series 2, as she's the same character as the Two People's Collection. Yeah, could go either way, I think. I wouldn't put money down either way, I suppose. But yeah. You were saying that it's time for us to head off now, weren't you?
I need sleep.
Yeah.
And I need to put animals to bed as well. No, I need to put myself to bed.
No.
So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us for a little surprise live stream, I guess. It's been great hanging out with you all. And
hopefully we've helped kill some time on the journey to Boom.
Yeah, I hope you all enjoy it. If you're staying up, you're a better person than I am.
Thanks for the great stream. Thank you, Stylish Run, for joining us.
Pleasure.
Thank you, everyone who has stuck around with us. Please do like and subscribe. If you're watching this on catch up later on, then let us know in the comments down below your favorite and least favorite Moffat stories. Which one you think is underrated? Which one you think is most overrated? Because everyone's got an opinion. Yours is welcome here too.
This is a safe space.
Joe Bauer says, "Thanks for the stream, lads, and enjoy Boom." Hopefully we will. Hopefully we all will.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. Hoovian says, "Yay, it's defo kill time in the best way." We're glad you've enjoyed Hoovian.
Bless you.
I'm sorry that we can't quite go right up to midnight, but
I mean, you can.
Yeah,
take it away. I'm gonna go sleep.
No. I think you need your sleep.
I'm gonna have my big finish bedtime story.
There we have it. It's time for us to say good night now, and thank you all for watching.
And we'll see you
on
soon.
the other side.
Bye-bye.